That's totally cool too. But ultimately, you need to have custom design for everything as long as it's usable and it can be customized to our needs, and I can work with it.
So kind of having some, what would be useful is for you to know what some ideas we already like, or some products that are already out there that could inspire you.
Or even like what the things that, if the thing that we need to do, the first and foremost is get like I don't know, marketing material out, just to know also the priorities of what needs to be done now, what should be done soon, and what can wait till later.
Okay.
So I'll just give you a general idea of.
Wait. Let's finish the.
Yeah, I suggest we continue what you want to talk about, and then we can go.
What do you want to talk about?
Yes. I was just gonna say it before I was interrupted back.
Okay.
Sorry, schoolmaster.
I thought you wanted to jump on and.
I just wanted to say it's good that you're here because that's one thing we're lacking in. Like we can do the hardware stuff, but there's a lot of these kind of things like graphic designing for the in terms of hardware, like something like that. That's just a mock-up. That's a possibility. There are other possibilities. We don't know what designs look good, what won't look good. That's not my forte. I don't think I've ever done a good job in my arts class. So that's something I don't think most of us are comfortable with. We're
Marketing.
no, designing things like that look beautiful. We can design the inside fine. We can design the electronics fine. It's just the outside things, the interaction things that people interact with. That's needed. So I agree with like starting to work on that.
Cool.
Would be a good idea.
Is there any other things you want to that you would like to work on today, or shall we continue?
Yes, I was thinking again. That's actually what I wrote down. GUI, graphical interface. That's something that we should start thinking about. At least have mock-ups of how it's going to look like, what kind of interaction people can do with the system. That's something. Defining tasks that we need to accomplish. I think that would be lacking in. I like having a loose structure where we don't have. We can do what we like to do, but at the same time, it would be nice to have defined tasks that people can jump into. Like yesterday, Mark was here and he was asking what kind of things I can do. I was like, anything. He's like, no, tell me at least something. And then today, Tadwarius was explaining that a lot of people are not comfortable with having open-ended goals. Like like most people are goal-oriented because we are raised in a way that this is what you need to do, and then you develop a path towards doing it. So it's a good, like people, most people, they don't like micromanaging, but you still have to tell them, okay, this is a task that needs to be accomplished. Can you help me with that? So there are a lot of ideas floating around, but the problem is with figuring out what needs to go first, what needs to go second. I think we are almost in agreement with how to phase things, or at least I have a very strong idea in my head that this is how it's going to work out. And to me, it seems very logical, but again, open for discussion.
There's three kind of like parts to that, or like there's the stuff that's sort of marketing kind of facing, like what the public sees and how we position ourselves to raise money or whatever. Then there's the how we network together, what platform we use to communicate and to have all our materials available for people. And then we have the other part, which is the actual software. So there's actually three different, like they serve very different purposes. I mean, obviously they're not gonna, in my mind, they couldn't be one.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I wrote down. There's interacting with users, and there's the hardware software part, like how the hardware interact, and then there's the development of tasks like
Organization.
So these are the three things that I had in mind as well. So
Cool.
That's where I wanted.
Okay.
How about your mind maps? Are you going to do stuff?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Not now, I mean, is that part of?
Yeah, I would love to show everything, and so that everybody here has an idea of what's going through my head at least. A lot of these are, ideas that we collected over a few meetings, a lot of things that have been discussed. I've been working over the past week, 2 weeks on, first I was trying to write them all down. Doesn't work. Writing them all is not a good way of presenting them. So I started doing mind maps and that was right.
You sent 10 emails, maybe.
Yeah, it would be more than 10 emails because I would have to like mention like, oh, in email one, this is how it links to this email. So it'll be difficult.
But I like what you're saying, Maria, with just how we can maybe separate. This meeting is like maybe first approaching the software and the hardware, so that we all have an idea of what kind of product we're talking about and why we're talking about the garden flower and not sensors in the greenhouse, right? Why is this the first step? So the software and the hardware part, the technicalities of the product, and then how do we want to interact with the user? So the marketing, and this is more the marketing step, and then the third one is how are we going to interact between each other in order to carry the product forward.
Okay, makes sense.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. I just wanted to figure out, make sure the.
But I think Brad mentioned it. My motive here is to facilitate integration of new people and giving them the possibility to find what they can do more rapidly. In order to otherwise, people get lost a little bit. And I have the sense that documentation, documentation is something that we need to maintain. So when you start in the beginning, things are pretty simple, and as more and more gets stuff in there, then it becomes illegible. All the information is there almost, but it's not structured. So once in a while, we have to do that maintenance to restructure information in a way that people can find themselves. And sometimes Google Docs are not good because they get large and nobody has time to read the pages. So I'm exploring different ways to render the content that we have on this project. Mind maps can be one. I discovered a new tool in Vigo that can also be used and structure resources outside of Storycraft. So I'm trying to figure out a way to put information so that people can find themselves in the project and see where we're going, can understand why we're here, why are we talking about this flower pot. There's a history, there's a thought process there, and even to expose that thought process, not just we are here and this is what we're doing, but also why we're here, because there's always new people that come and question why we're doing this. I don't really grasp why we make these choices. Might be bad choices, I don't know. But what I would like to eliminate is all these discussions where you have over and over and over again to explain the same thing and to recreate the process, okay? In people's mind to actually have a meaningful discussion about why we're here. Yeah. And then instead of just talking why we're here and why we're doing this, to go straight to work.
Yeah, I think we should start off by why we're here. Why do we have this thing in mind?
Yeah, I think it's the hardware software. Right?
Yeah, that should be a good way to start.
So that plan is the person that we're starting with.
Okay, so
Is that the product?
No, we have two projects in parallel. I mean, that are pretty advanced in terms of prototyping. There are other ideas that are valid. So the question is, how do you set up priorities and how do you make the most with what we have today? So two projects that are pretty advanced. It's this one as a prototype. And there's another prototype which is about production in a kitchen, which is essentially two-floor device, 1 meter per 1 meter. Ian's prototype.
What? How much?
Donc, moi, ça, c'est une bonne possibilité. Là, on verra qu'est-ce que ça donne après. On verra.
It's a square box with two
C'est
floors.
là, présentement,
With
sinon,
the control temperature,
si vous
control
allez le visiter,
irrigation,
c'est ça la première chose. La deuxième des choses, c'est que
and you can grow your salad, you can grow your
toutes les
greens.
femmes de mon oncle, ils sont en train de penser à acheter un bâtiment.
In a very efficient way.
Donc, ça se peut que mon oncle décide d'acheter d'aller avec mon ami oncle pour acheter une bâtiment de
Abraham.
projet de mandat.
Guillaume.
Donc, il y a ça. Puis
I just found out that Guillaume is the
Yeah.
French version of
You didn't know?
No, I didn't
They
know.
call me Bill now.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so those are the two things.
Why not?
The two-floor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can explain why we reached here. We had a lot of discussions.
Ouais, ouais, c'est ça.
My idea for this whole project, I call it Project Druid. If you come up with a better name, but for now, I'm not going to go with Garden Man.
Okay, let's talk about names.
Yeah, Garden Man, Druid.
Druid.
Yes.
Druid is G-R.
Druid.
Druid.
It
Yes.
sounds familiar.
Yeah, druids are like they're, I don't know, for a lot of people it sounds very geeky. But like it brings up image of video games, etc. But druids were people in England or Scotland, Ireland that were very well known for
In Goa as well.
that's
very
for being very related to plants. Like they based their culture, their history, everything was connected to nature. So that's why I was like, okay, druid. So anyways, so there is druid, for which that's a bigger picture where we are collecting plant data in terms of what resources are being used, how much, for example, how much light, what kind of light, how much nutrients, what kind of nutrients, all these things. And we are crowdsourcing it, so anyone who uses one of our products will be relaying that data to us, and we'll be using that data.
Are you getting that data to see what are the best conditions for growing different types
Exactly.
of?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's a bigger picture. We could use that.
And you're doing customized software to stories and
Ouais. Est-ce que toi, t'as un auto?
a number of data crunch that already exists. So you don't-
No, data, the number cruncher does not exist yet. But there are efforts going up in parallel. Like we haven't even thought about how we're going to use that data. Guillaume was saying that it's going to be very difficult and like there's no point in collecting it right now. But because it's so cheap to do it, in my head, like it's very cheap to do it, so it's going to be it'll be beneficial.
Like that. Yeah, you can write it.
So
So
that's
anyway,
a software part, right?
No, that's a bigger picture. So that's a druid, like that's a big idea. And the thing is that I want to do that so that farmers, large producers, not just companies, people who don't have the money to pay for this kind of research, have access to this research where they know that okay, I don't have to put in 10 kgs of fertilizer for this plant to do well. All it actually needs is 2 kg. So
Kilograms.
kilogram. So people stop wasting fertilizer, stop wasting water, because all of these, I come from a farming background, I'm from Pakistan, and we already have, for us, a huge issue is resources are very expensive, and there's a lot of wastage going on. So to minimize that, like that's a big idea. The problem is being able to do that kind of research means that
It is expensive because I'm doing my master's thesis at Carleton University in Ottawa. So one of the urban gardens that I'm going to be looking at is in New York, and they did this same thing, but they did it not where they were aggregating content. They built, they customized the sensors, and they did scientific tests on how much water and like tomato plants, and then it was being pulled into this customized, and it had funding the first year. But then they didn't have funding the second year, so they just went from a software and sensor-based kind of experiment to more of a community garden with just, what you would see anywhere else. So the initiative changed because they didn't have the resources to continue a project of that kind of complexity forward, but they wrote a paper about it.
Yeah.
That was presented.
No, I would like
There's
to-
really interesting scientific stuff that they found in it, but they just couldn't continue over the long term.
Mhm.
I can share it with you, I mean, it's public,
Yeah.
so
I would like to
I'll.
know what kind of software they were using, what kind of data, how they were like, collecting it, how they were storing it, all these things. But anyways, going from there, so that's a bigger picture. We need a lot of money for that. And again, my problem would be, okay, somehow I can finance a $2,000. We can pool in, we can ask for funding, but as soon as that money dries up, people stop funding you. They find a new project, you're dead in the water. You have a lot of things that have no funding for you.
Yeah, then you become crisis management
Yeah.
more than like.
So to avoid that, I generally like business ideas where things can be sustained from income coming in from that particular business. So that's why consumer markets, instead of going for greenhouse directly, if you go to greenhouses, large scale production, commercial markets, or commercial users, the problem is it has to be very well integrated. You have to have a lot of reliability. It has to be bulletproof. The market is already very difficult to enter because there will be companies that are spending huge amount of money to make sure that they don't get phased out. They have their market share. So that market for me is closed off right now.
Which one? Sorry, it's the beginning. Which market is talking?
Greenhouses, large scale production, large scale agriculture.
What part of the greenhouse? The greenhouse itself, or what?
The sensors in the greenhouse,
Automation.
automation system in greenhouses. Usually they're closed loop. You can't just make your own system out of random parts. You buy the whole system together, and these are expensive systems. There's going to be temperature control, humidity control for large scale greenhouses.
Yeah, and why do you think there's no room for someone to come in and
No, there is,
ship
but-
your systems that can be kind of
The thing is that you need to have all those systems integrated and ready to be put. They don't want to go buy these things from different suppliers because it has to be bulletproof reliability, because you can't have, oh, the fan stopped functioning or it doesn't interact well with this kind of system. All those things, temperature, like ambience control, water, nutrient, all these things have to be perfectly in sync because these are commercial
Very
standards.
sensitive to
Because if they need orchids to be flowering right before Christmas because that's their market, they need them to flower right before Christmas, not after it. They lose all their money there. So they'll spend the extra money to make sure that the equipment is able to do exactly
So they'll go to an
what it
established
advertises.
company with an established reputation, with an established service
Yes.
quality. and
So
stuff like that.
if we want to do that, then we need all those systems already ready, like all the sensors, all the software behind it already there. So the other way is that we start from like individual users, and then we from basic systems, and then we keep on growing in complexity. The benefit of that is, again, you can do different iterations. You can develop on like the core competency kind of thing, like the hardware remains the same. You can add in sensors, you can add in different like you can keep on using the same system or architecture and then keep on adding things on it. And the other thing that's beneficial is that it earns money for you. So it kind of sustains your overall cycle.
your role.
Yeah, you can keep on growing on that money. So
In terms of the market, are we looking globally, like just like anywhere, because we have an online presence, or are
Sure.
we sticking to North America?
like the big money spenders in terms of plants are generally North America and Europe. Like that's the two big markets for indoor gardens.
It's interesting because I have this, I guess it's a very critical view of North American culture, where I find that people they get excited about stuff and then they forget about it
Mhm.
because they get distracted, and there's not that same, it's a very consumerist culture, so things don't, it's very hard for an idea to get traction. So, people are so absorbed with just the immediate results, they don't want to make stuff. There is that maker movement and that sort of like working with your hands sort of coming in, but I find that it's happening in very specific, it's not happening evenly across the board. Like if you were to go to Portland, Oregon, where they have very strong kind of like gardening communities where people, that's just part of what people do, or certain areas in North America, you would find the market being more receptive, but you're right, it has to be bulletproof because there's just so much competition out there and people do get distracted and they just forget about it and then you're getting the water.
No, again, in terms of consumer items, that's absolutely true. But at the same time, in terms of, if you think about it, it might actually be beneficial for us, that mindset. Because we are convincing them that before you like to have a plant in your house, but it required you to take care of it. Now you can have the same plant without having to take care of it. So in a way, it's, it might actually work in our favor. But anyway.
Well, yeah, if there's limited to no work involved on their part.
I read some research studies that some counties and some state government sponsored in the US. There was one from Ohio, another from Portland. The three biggest factors that people listed for, regardless of if they were living in urban centers or if they were living in rural areas or semi-urban areas, the three biggest factors they had, the issue they had in growing plants, having their own food, even people living on agricultural farms. The three biggest factors were time. That was the biggest one, and it wasn't the amount of time it took them; it was the scheduling for them to water plant.
Yeah, I have that problem at home.
So that's okay. Everybody does that because they're silent, so nobody knows that they need water. So scheduling was the first one, time. Second biggest was space. So you'd have to have a window that gets a lot of sunlight, or you'd have to have a garden. People like ornamental plants to be in their living room, in the middle area, or close to where they sit down for coffee so that they can look at it, or they want to hang it on the wall, but that wall doesn't get light. So space in terms of light, space in terms of the area to grow things, that was the second biggest concern. And this is for rural areas as well, where space shouldn't be a problem. And the third biggest was knowledge. So the reason we came up with having a smart park that would take care of certain things, we decided those things based on removing the knowledge part, removing these three basic issues. So if you can automate if you can automate watering, and you have a self-contained, so the only time you would have to water it is once in a month, and that too you get reminded. The only time you have to feed nutrient is once in a year, because there's a nutrient-filled cartridge in there that can put in the nutrients every week or 2 weeks or whenever it's required. And you take out the knowledge part because you don't need to learn how a tomato plant or what the tomato plant needs. You don't need to know how much is too much moisture for the soil, how much is too much light. There's a system that can monitor those things, and you can download settings for different plants. You could grow cucumber and tomato in this, like for now you're growing a tomato. Like 3 months from now you want to grow a cucumber. Instead of learning what a cucumber likes, you put the cucumber plant in there and it will grow okay because you downloaded the settings appropriate for a cucumber plant. So that's why data collection again is important for us, so that people have the ability to download and upload their settings. I think that can create new business opportunities.
You justified the download bit, you didn't justify the upload bit right now.
I can justify it this way, that there are prosumers, just like Etsy has a lot of prosumers, which people who have good skills in terms of knitting something, and instead of just making things and keeping them for yourself, they put them online for sale, and they generate some revenue from it, and they enjoy doing it. It's a hobby that makes them money. Some people can have gardening as a hobby, and a way to generate extra money would be they can upload pictures that my plants are this good, or I grew these plants. So here are the settings. You can buy them for $1.99.
What if we use a different demographic for the upload and a different one for people?
Absolutely, yeah.
So we could approach, greenhouses and say, hey,
Yeah, absolutely.
do this for us and we'll give this to you either, I don't know,
No, we don't even have to.
Or free or whatever.
No, the idea was that we convince Home Depot, florists, retail stores that, hey, you're selling plants already. So if you sell our system, you can grow these plants in our system, and then you can sell our system, and you can sell settings for the plants you're already selling. So people are, again, we're removing the barriers, so it'll be easier for you to sell your plants. So because you're convincing the consumer that, hey, if you buy from us, we already have the settings pre-installed, or you can download these settings from us, and you don't have to worry about taking care of these.
But the settings for the plant suite,
Yeah, parameters like
but I mean, this is open source. It's these.
we remain open source, but it doesn't mean that we don't do business. We remain open source. It's available. People who want to do their own settings, people who want to download and upload or change settings, it's open source for them. But if somebody doesn't want to go through the hassle of finding out over 3 months what their plants actually like, they have the option of buying it from someone else.
So the idea is, do you create a marketplace for settings, or do you create a marketplace for experience?
No, I don't think it's mutually exclusive.
No,
Making
you're right.
money and open source are not mutually exclusive.
No,
We still make money off the hardware we're selling. We make money off. We don't make money off the research that we conduct. For example, for the first initial part, we could have 4 or 5 plants that are very popular. Orchid is one of them. 70% of the household plants sold in, like flowers that are sold in North America are orchids. That's the most popular house plant. Tomatoes are very popular. Cucumbers are very popular. Basil and mint. These are very popular plants, and they're very easy to grow indoors. So these are something that people already buy, so we don't have to convince them, hey, buy this plant. So if we can provide software or settings that grow these plants very well initially, so people do have a use right away. And then later on, you can start to develop, okay, if somebody doesn't want to grow orchids, he wants to grow the rose, or he wants to grow something else.
And these are housed in the things that we make.
Okay, so
Is that how that would work? Because
okay, that's another part. We make 4 or 5 different designs to show the possibilities. One of them could be this container. Another one could be for like a long
Rack for microgreens.
yeah, rack. No, not rack. Just I mean like a turf or trough. Sorry, a trough, kind of like a water trough. You know, the ones that horses drink out of, like a miniature water turf. And then that would be an ideal place to grow microgreens in, because it has a long, and it could fit on a windowsill, or you could fit it under a kitchen cabinet, wherever you want it, on top. Then you could have, so these
these are all indoor things, obviously.
yeah, for now these are indoors, because then when you go outdoors, you add the complexity of waterproofing everything, weatherproofing everything. They have to work in very different environments. So anyways, what are they talking about?
There are 4 or 5 different designs.
Yeah, so initially you have 4 or 5 different designs that people can buy directly from you. Then again, this is where the community partner comes in. You get designers, you give them a template like, hey, listen, this is the minimum space that's required to store water. This is the minimum space required for the electronics in here. This is how high the electronics can pump the water. This is how much light they can provide, or this is the space needed for the light. You give them that template, and then it's up to them to design the container that they want to. And they can sell their containers directly to consumers, or consumers can design their own containers, print their own containers, make them out of wood, make them out of whatever material they want to. We just do a basic 4 or 5 designs. They can buy from us. We can keep on increasing the number of designs, but that's not.
We would provide the specs, and then the designer would design it.
That wouldn't be our core.
Last year, when I went to the year-end design show to look at what the undergraduates were doing at home, I was actually pretty amazed, because there were 2 or 3 different projects that incorporated some sort of garden growing thing. And if you like those designers that come out of the industrial design programs are trained in terms of, they have to take physics and engineer. Like,
Exactly.
They're not just like designers who just draw nice things. They have to know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if there's a possibility. I'm going to go to the show this year again. And just kind of see, maybe we can look at what's some,
Yeah.
getting some student to, because
For sure.
they need exposure,
Yeah.
and they're, not that
That's
that
exactly
isn't,
right. This kind of space is exactly
Yeah.
for students who are looking to where they're going to do further, right?
One of the areas that we can again I'll show it on the mind map that's all put together. Urban agriculture in terms of or urban green spaces. There are a lot of designers who would like to incorporate smart growing in green spaces, like in community spaces. Their problem is they don't know the electronics to do that. So we are providing them with all the electronics. We are providing them with all the tools to do it. So we are providing them with all the tools to do it. Then it's up to them to integrate those tools in their own design. So for example, there is a kitchen designer. The kitchen designer does not, it would be amazing that she wants to design a cabinet that has a small planting space, a pot in there. That's already integrated into her kitchen design. But she doesn't know how to do the electronics. So for her, it would be ideal that we already have all the electronics. All she needs to do is make sure there's enough space to fit the electronics in.
When building a kitchen.
Yeah, like kitchen cabinets. Why can't you like a countertop? It's just an idea. Again, same space for buildings. So being modular, having a basic hardware system that can be fit into different areas. It's kind of like in terms of software analogies, I guess. It's kind of like Android. Different manufacturers can manufacture their phones and use Android as a software, as their software, or as the operating system. So the analogy would be that different people can design systems and use our tools as a way to run those systems. So we are taking away the complexity of having to design the electronics as well. All they need to worry about is making it look nice or making sure that it fits. Apart from that, they don't have to worry about how the electronics are going to work, how is the water going to go through. All these things that are already taken care of.
And so for you, what would be the following steps for to go forward with the hardware? So you were talking about the designs, right?
Okay, so that then again becomes. So I hope I've explained why we started.
So yeah, is everybody clear on why we're doing garden pots and not greenhouse sensors?
Maybe I say something at this point, because I think, what Abraham said was already, we already discussed that, and at this point I'm not quite sure. I think this vision has its problems, but I'm a bit tired of always being the kind of party spoiler and the one who kind of I don't want to be the kind of balloon plopper again. So I won't kind of. I think basically my criticism is that it's complex. It's too complex given the kind of structure we are, the number of people we have, and that it's too wide open. So, but anyway, I think if you want to go forward with that, I think even with the flower pot, saying that we agree that the flower pot is the first stage. I think maybe what we should do is some kind of business plan. Some kind of costing of things, and say, that's how much we would like to sell the thing. That's how many we expect to sell in the first year. That's how much it would cost to produce. Blah blah blah. To see if the numbers add up, basically. Because I think until we do that, we can be kind of talking about a non-existent product. Even if we don't get the numbers exact, at least we see. Because the reason being that we're only doing the flower pot because it's supposed to be our kind of money-making machine, carry us further. So if it was fun, in a sense, it wouldn't matter if it's a commercial kind of failure. But if the whole point of starting with that is to kind of allow us to have some money coming in to carry on, it has, the commercial success of it is paramount. Yeah?
Yeah.
So therefore, I think having a money kind of assessment exercise would be the first thing to do. Yeah. So.
Can you reiterate your criticism, because je n'ai pas compris en fait. En termes de vision, c'est ça ou c'est
I just think.
I can explain it better.
No, please.
He heard it already. Next.
I'm suspicious about the whole uploading data first. I mean, I think that basically you have to choose your market. You're either going for kind of people who want a no worry kind of system and just want settings and something that works out of the box, or you're going to kind of target something for the. So in this case, on one hand, we want a system that's kind of autonomous, and therefore there is no data to collect in an autonomous system, right? Because you're going to have decided what the optimal parameters are, and if you measure them on the system, it's just going to return you the parameters you set. Yeah, I mean, if the system is meant to maintain, not saying anything, but a temperature of 20 degrees, and you keep uploading data about what's the temperature of the system, you're going to have a 20 degrees kind of flat curve, which is not very interesting. Yeah.
Also,
either the system is autonomous and there is no data to collect because people don't have the liberty to kind of play with the settings, or you deliver a system where people are meant to play with the data, and then maybe there is something to collect. But even in that scenario, I think you can collect data, but whether you're going to be able to do anything with it is another question.
Yes.
Because scientific experiments have to be built as scientific experiments. It's not just collecting random points everywhere. It doesn't give you a scientific theory. Yeah? I mean, in order to be able to
integrate it and to make sense.
Yeah, in order to be able to say something scientifically about best conditions for this or that, you have to have set up an experiment, and I'm not sure that.
You also have to know to what extent your findings can be generalized.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
areas, like for example, 4 hours of sunlight in December in Montreal is very different than 4 hours of sunlight in Southern California, because even indoors, the angle of the light that's coming in, the amount of humidity that's just in the air in general, you have to think.
Well, you might control all these things, but still, you might find that it's that.
Because they're a very complex engine.
That it's a very complex data set from which to generalize is far from being trivial, I think. Yeah. So you might just and collecting this data is expensive. I mean, collecting it in a smart way requires kind of. If it's just collecting for collecting and kind of dumping stuff in a messy way on the hard disk, it's pointless. So you have to kind of devote a lot of time on how you're going to collect it. I think collecting data without a clear purpose, I think I don't quite believe it's good use of money. I think you might end up missing realizing after you have 3 terabytes of it that actually you missed some core. I mean, that's my personal experience of dealing with big data. That it's very difficult afterhand to.
You already need to know before collecting anything what you.
Yeah, but in any case, I think my biggest criticism is more about autonomous or not autonomous system. If the system is meant to be intelligent, then there's not going to be much data to collect because you know the conditions the system is going to set. You've programmed them yourself. Yeah. So if you're in the other scenario, then you're talking of a different public, which is a public of kind of experimenters and blah blah. So I only believe that maybe there is a market for an autonomous power plant, but then I don't think there's not much point in wasting time uploading data. There's not really much to be uploaded. It's just about promising a healthy
What if the
power.
system learns? Like, what if for the first week, the person has to water the plant as they would by checking it, and then when it changes the seasons, like as the water is added, as the conditions change, the system just learns and adjusts.
But that's even more difficult to program.
That sounds like an artificial intelligence.
That sounds like a PhD thesis in itself.
Yeah, I know.
And in any case, why would it learn? If someone does a bad job at treating the plant at the beginning, it would learn crap. Yeah. So I mean, yeah. So I think maybe there is a market for a fire plant that maintains, you know, the optimal level of light, the optimal humidity, and maybe pumps some nutrients at a regular rate. So, you know, but then I think we need to focus on the figures. I mean, we need to kind of really be serious about how much is it going to cost to manufacture, how much can we expect to sell it for, blah blah blah. Because I think we are at a point where we could do that. So I don't think there's
we're getting there.
There's a reason not to do it, because we might learn a lot from doing it.
No, we're getting there. I mean, once we have the prototype kind of frame, right, we can have an idea about the costs. And now that we have a potential manufacturer next by, we can even have an estimation about the, you know, if you talk about volume, you know, you can have an estimation about the cost there. And
the difficult thing is how many can we expect to sell? Yeah,
that's very difficult. I mean, you can come up with estimations, but there's
and to whom? Yeah, I mean, I think, but asking the question will force us to think, okay, well, what's our market? How big is our market? You know, what kind of price
those
people
are
are prepared to pay?
Those are all valid questions. That's the first thing I looked at. When I joined in, that's the first thing I looked at, market studies. What's the market for indoor plants? What kind of plants sell most? What demographics buy those plants? How much do they spend? What percentage of?
Okay, well, that should make it easier to kind of make an Excel.
Well, it makes it easier, but you know, I also have experience with market studies and projections, and then you only said one.
Those market studies exist for existing items. You can correlate, but the thing is that this is something that doesn't exist in the market. So how are you going to tell exactly what amount of money you can generate from the market?
But there is more than that. It's like market studies. The predictions for market studies tell more to companies that already have a distribution in place. Mm-hmm. So they can kind of know that they do have the marketing machinery. They know what impact their marketing machinery they have. They know what their distribution is. So by knowing, let's say they come up with a subproduct, a subcategory of their product, okay, they can study the market, do some surveys, you know, and more or less guess. But when you are just entering something new with no reputation, with no money for advertising, you don't have a distribution, you can have a very precise estimate of how many people would buy your thing, but you have no idea how many people will actually buy your thing. That's what I'm saying. Because you're new on the market, because nobody knows about you, because you don't have the machinery for publicity and stuff, you don't have an established channel, you don't have experience on the market. So even if you do a market study, you know, it's like, how much water can that tank hold? That's not exactly the question. It's the precise question that you need to ask is, how much can we sell? And you can't answer that. But what I can see, there are some indications, okay? And I think there are now, we're blessed today by having these unconventional channels to bring products to market, which lowers your risk, because what you do essentially, if you go for a crowdfunding campaign, you get a pre-sale arrangement. So then, if you do that crowdfunding campaign successfully, okay, you can have an idea about how many items you sell. So it's a funding, but also a marketing campaign, right? And then if you have 100,000 orders, fine. So you find a way to deliver them, right? So I guess what we have to do is, I think it's meaningless and pointless to go and do this in-depth market study and try to guess how many products you will sell, because it's not too far from a gut feeling. I think, you know, it's too much time wasted for nothing. Big companies can afford to do that, and they probably get a better estimation. We can. So what can we do? You know, there are crowdfunding campaigns for something similar that went from $200,000 to $250,000. I saw one recently, $600,000. Okay, so this is a pot that you put in the kitchen and you grow herbs. with light and irrigation, and they have some special soil, whatever. So it's the same category of products, consumers market. They get $620,000 in crowdfunding. There's another one that is pretty close to what we have, 250,000.
Have you looked for the failed ones? Have you looked for the ones
No,
that
we
raised
didn't. We didn't.
$600?
No, but this gives, yeah, that's a good thing. But this gives you the potential, right? So there is a potential, and I think the only thing that we need to figure out, like you say, it's manufacturing costs. So we have to ask ourselves the question: let's say we have 100 pots. How are we going to deliver this to the customers that pay us on the crowdfunding campaign? Then it's a small-scale production. Okay, can we do it in the lab? Who's gonna make it for us? Let's say you have 5,000. Okay, then I'm gonna call my friend and I say, would you do it for 5,000 pieces? How much it would cost? Because the way they do it, it's injection molding, so there is tooling that they have to do, which costs thousands of dollars. Okay, so that initial cost is divided by the number of parts. If you go with 100 units, it's gonna cost you more than if you 3D print it.
Yeah, so there's a fixed cost and then there's a per unit
Exactly.
cost. Yeah?
And if you
fixed cost and
A per unit cost. Yeah.
And if you're in the millions, then you call your friend from Wong in China because these guys here will not have the manufacturing capability to deliver that, right? So I think what we have to figure out is pick up some scenarios.
Do we want to manufacture in China?
Maybe not. So pick up a few scenarios,
Depends
right?
if it's done.
Yeah. So I think we need to pick up a few scenarios and say, okay, how much is going to cost if you sell this much? How much? Because
strategies and
because for the crowdfunding campaign, you have to set up some expectations. You have to say, if you give us this much, you're going to have the product. Okay, but you don't want to sell the product at loss. You know what I'm saying? If the product you estimate costs you $100 and it ends up costing you $200 to produce, then you made a commitment to ship these products at $100, you lose your money, right? So I think this is what we need to set up, like some expectations about not expectations, but scenarios. 100. How much is going to cost us to 3D print 100 of those? 5,000, 10,000, 100,000.
So how does this exercise bridge with?
And then you don't have any risk because you just go for the crowdfunding and just respond to whatever people say.
And so how do you bridge this with Abraham's 4 to 5 designs? Is this, for example, if you have 4 or 5 designs on the crowdfunding campaign and you show look at, is this the potential, like what you're saying with the designs, that this is the potential we have for this product, but what you're saying is that we're talking about this product here, right? In terms of scenarios.
Yeah, we have to settle for one for the kids.
Yeah,
So,
you have to settle for one thing that you sell. Yeah.
So you're talking about the scenarios for one, and you're talking about designing having these designs for to kind of open up the crowdfunding campaign and say to people, if we get this crowdfunding campaign and if we manage to generate revenue, then we can build these kinds of different designs. That's your intention with the designs, or is it more for?
First, we need to understand what crowdfunding will do for us, and at what stage do we go for crowdfunding? I think there's a general idea that we go for crowdfunding once the product is ready and everything is tested out. That's not how crowdfunding works. The reason for crowdfunding to exist and why people turn to it is that creators bring their ideas with a working prototype.
No, but I don't think
And nothing
he
more.
said that we had to have it ready.
No,
Just for me to.
I'm just explaining.
Yeah,
So we bring out 4 or 5 working prototypes, and on crowdfunding campaigns, you don't have to sell everything. A lot of the rewards are not actual products. One of the items that got $60,000, it was just a basic irrigation system that I could make in about an hour. Very nicely packaged. It cost there is $60,000 for it.
Okay.
For $10, what they were giving away was a 3-foot plastic tubing. That was the reward for $10 for people like helping to water the plant. The thing is that we don't have to have 5 pots that can be mass produced right away.
No.
I can find people to make them in smaller quantities, maybe a few, even tens, in 50s and hundreds. If not in Canada, somewhere else, with
Would that
not
be Pakistan by any chance? I'm just
surrounded.
guessing.
No, I have a lot. The thing is, for manufacturing, I have so many contacts in Pakistan. If you want, I can get them made in leather in Pakistan. I can get them made in ceramics, in like handmade, like hand carved out of wood. If you want.
Ceramics.
Yeah.
See, production in limited quantities, because for them, when they mass produce, they get 10 cents to 15 cents per piece when they mass produce. If you're giving them $10 per piece, even if they produce 50, that's more than they earn in a week's of production in a day. So for them, it's still possible. There are people who earn 10,000 rupees, which is about $100 a month, and they know carving like the back of their hand. They can carve wood in such intricate art that it's not possible to do that. Like you would have to spend hours and hours.
Maybe that's an idea actually.
It is an idea.
Yeah. So like an ethical manufacturing in Pakistan.
And anywhere, like that's just one country. Like that's I told you about
a kind of unique pieces.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it will cost a lot, I guess. But
I told you about third world connections.
We can ship Dremels.
The thing,
They do hand carving, but they wouldn't know how to use a power tool.
so your concern is obviously looking at, economies of scale and cost and all that kind of stuff. I also, from a sort of a marketing side, I know that there's 2 things that can get a product, because you appeal to people's emotional side. One is the name, and one is how good it looks.
Yeah.
We're talking, like really
Yeah.
why was Nest so successful? I mean, Nest is ceramics, but like, really the name is cool.
Who's that?
Nest. The products that are adjusting your lights at home. It's a consumer product.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that one had I know tons of people who have Nest.
That's evil. That's closed source and.
They know, but I'm not saying that we should do that. I'm just saying that they bought it. People bought it because they thought it was cool. Why'd you buy it? Does it save you money? Well, I don't know. It's just it's
They
cool.
started the lamp, right? It was just a stupid lamp.
It's just for controlling the lights.
The light,
and
yeah.
but you can have either color light, or you could just have just to control the
Yeah.
automatically your lights, or if you forgot
It's like okay, they started with that.
or
Another
your
branch.
temperature, so that when you're outside, when you're outside, you can say, oh yeah, I forgot to turn this off. Turn this, like it's remote control of your
Now they're going for the thermostat, right? And they have a cool
thermostat
design of
and
thermostat.
lighting. Oh no, lighting is the other one, but thermostat.
Yeah.
But people buy it not
Yeah.
because they were
Well,
really
you
getting
just have to go to
benefits.
Kickstarter and see that the projects that raise lots of money have pretty nice videos,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
Not necessarily good products, just a very slick.
But they're looking
kind of-
nice and yeah.
Very slick
You're right. It's
presentation.
mostly marketing. The thing
It is
is,
mostly market for the selling part.
for the selling part,
Really.
that's purely marketing. People don't actually care about.
They don't buy things because really, I bought it because it was cool.
Yeah.
That you hear that more than anything else.
So I feel like we're kind of like going to this kind of second step of the conversation around the market.
No. First, I want to finish up with marketing. With manufacturing. So what I wanted to say was that we don't have to worry about how much would it cost for 10 pieces, 500 pieces, 5,000, and start to think of cost with that regard.
But I think we need to put some numbers there.
No,
I can call my friend at this level here, and you can call your friends here.
Manufacturing is the second part. We still don't have a core product that functions. We don't have 100% of the electronics working together.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter. We know roughly what the parts are going to be, yeah?
Yeah, but the thing is that
So at least
These
we can
things-
we can kind of cost the production.
I think the electronics is going to be a fraction of the cost of the thing.
it could be a lot. If you add a pH sensor, it could be $30 per
Oh, PF sense.
We add an NDVI camera that could be
Well,
$12.
exactly, but that's why precisely doing this exercise would tell us, okay, roughly,
No,
if
there's
you want to maintain that kind
Yeah.
of price. But the interesting thing is that the Kickstarter, at the same time as it helps, it brings another question in terms of viability, sort of commercial viability of the thing, because we're using it as a kind of gift, in a sense, to get us started. But the question is, do we envisage that the product has to then in terms of the commercial viability of the product, do we see it as like after the Kickstarter? The Kickstarter is just a way to get there, but we envision a phase where we don't rely on people giving us money on Kickstarter and we have to set it for its real value.
Well, Kickstarter is a pre-sale arrangement.
Well, it isn't. If you start giving T-shirts to people, it's not a pre-selling arrangement. There's a lot of kind of just
Sure.
support me,
Yes,
and
yeah.
so it depends how we exactly. So if you go for the T-shirt kind of thing, it's not a pre-sale arrangement. It's really a gift people are making you. You know, they're going to give you 10 quid, and you're going to give them a 5 quid T-shirt, and basically you made 5 quid doing nothing. Just got 5 quid to do other things. So because the whole idea is that the project is not our end. It's just a means to an end. So.
Exactly.
So the Kickstarter then become a means to an end. So it's kind of Do we suggest in the Kickstarter that it's really do we set the Kickstarter to be a pre-sale arrangement, which I think would be better in our case because we really want to see. We don't care so much about doing the product in itself. We care about the commercial viability of the product. We're only doing this because we want to make money out of it.
Well, if it's a successful product and it turns out to be a good sale, why not maintaining that hype?
No, of course, that's the whole reason we're doing it. So, but we don't want to make a kind of half viable product that's only lived because people gave us money out of goodwill.
Yeah,
No,
the
then
intention
it
is to
fits the
have,
whole point because the whole idea was to have a viable product, but the product only became viable because people gave us money out of goodwill. And then we don't have a viable product. So the Kickstarter has to be set up so that it's really...
You leverage that product then. That's what I was explaining before. You leverage that product and go to the existing retail chain. So it's kind of Kickstarter actually kickstarts us into going to retail channels that already exist, that traditional retail channels. Maybe 1% of the population uses Kickstarter.
Okay.
99% of the population still uses Home Depot.
Exactly. So my point, another way of saying what I'm saying is that even though we can sort of sell it on Kickstarter for $70, saying nothing, and if actually on the real market outside of Kickstarter it would only sell, maybe people will give us $70 for it on Kickstarter because it is Kickstarter, but then on the real market people will give us no more than 30. Then our business model has to work with the 30, not the 70. Yeah, we can't kind of claim victory because we sold 2,000 at $70 because the rest we might just be able to sell for $30. So if it costs $45 to produce, then it's not really a victory because this thing is going to be just as short-lived as the Kickstarter. Right? There's no actual commercial future from that. So the whole kind of pricing scenario has to be thinking beyond. Kickstarter, follow me?
But the thing is that our manufacturing cost, the things that we are using are so low cost compared to what people actually pay for these kind of things.
So how much would it cost? How much would it cost on the market?
So I'll just give you an example. Retailers usually have a profit margin of about 100%. Manufacturers usually have a profit margin of this is in terms of food. The farmer gets about 10% profit, 15% profit on their on their input. Middlemen get about 30-40%. The retailer gets about between 100 to 200%. This is the normal profit margin. So we need to stop seriously. There's enough money that people pay that it could easily finance our production. It could still be profitable in huge percentage. It could be profitable even if we sell it for a low price.
Well, that's like the faith of it. I'd like to see actual. I'd like to see numbers. So because I
You're gonna have to come up with a number.
No,
if it was
I'm just saying
so easy to bypass all the intermediates, I think other people would kind of maybe we have to kind of go through this. The distributor has to sell it somewhere, and the people will charge twice. Yeah. So whatever, if the customer ends up paying $40, this person will only give us 20. Say flower shops start selling this, for example.
Yeah, they'll sell it for
they will double
$200, $150, $200. That's
the price of the market, like $250, $300 for something like that, for a unit that you put in the kitchen to grow your herbs. That's kind of
I think the market is minute at that price. I mean, I don't think you don't, exactly, so at that price, I don't think it works.
Well, you're not selling it like TVs in every house. I mean, yeah, it's it's an item that. But since they sell it on the internet, it's still a huge volume for a small company. I think it's relative, right?
No, I'm saying our production cost, my estimate is that with all these things, it'll probably be around $40 to $50.
Costs.
Production cost, okay,
Are
so.
you talking about the wage of the person who?
Sorry?
Are you talking about also the time it takes to?
Yeah, you have to build time.
Yeah, everything included.
45 cents.
That's my estimate, like, actually less than that.
I think it's very, it depends on how many, for example, it depends on what method we use to manufacture it, depends on, no, I mean, and even if it's $50, you see that if you want to have a margin of, I don't know how much we want to make on each unit, let's say at least $30, I guess, for it to be worthwhile, otherwise it's pointless as a way of sustaining other activities, then we are at 80, and then the person who sells it has to sell it for 160.
Okay, let's put down a note for market surveys of what kind of prices the retail market will pay for it, and we can research on that. I don't have figures out on the top of my head.
Yeah, we have to.
But
So-
I can just give you an example of like an average household in North America spends about $100 a year in plants, just buying plants or garden items. Yeah, this is a month and a half year. In Germany, it's about
100 a year?
Yeah.
That's,
average household. This is for
I guess the average is
Canada.
yeah, because it's,
Yeah, garden items.
yeah, but it varies.
Yeah, it could include herbicide, it could include seeds, pots, whatever, all these things. And average homeowner in Germany spends about $400 on buying plants, not on other things, on buying plants, because they just like to have these kind of things. It varies between regions. Some places will pay more, some will pay less. But even if it's a small market, it's a market worth exploring.
So, but is it still worth to do these kind of scenarios where, do we agree on that, or, I mean?
No, we have to do market, we'll have to look at marketing numbers, like market numbers, not marketing, market numbers. How much does it cost?
No, he's talking about
Scales,
manufacturing
right?
costs. Yeah.
The manufacturing.
Because if you think that something can be done ethically in those countries like Pakistan, for example, you still have to count in, the cost of transportation, the cost of storage, and stuff like that. And then the impact of branding it as being, ethically manufactured somewhere, and then if it's done locally here, you can eliminate some transportation, and then you have to factor in branding with local producer, maybe Canada or
We are zooming in too much on the production. We don't have to worry about worry about all those things right now. If we start worrying about, okay, if it's
So I guess it's just in
how
terms.
much is it going to cost to ship, I can tell you exactly how much.
Yeah.
If you bring it in by container load, it's 30 cents per pound. If you produce it in ceramic, it's per container. We're probably going to have a 20-foot container contains 20,000 pounds. That's the maximum, but the volume is 20 foot by 20 foot. We'll have to figure out what cost we are bringing in. If you want to go into micromanaging, we can spend the whole day talking about it. The thing is, we don't have a product to talk about. We are getting too much involved in production.
So yeah, so in terms of priority,
I'm not sure. Actually. I kind of disagree. I think we have the outline is enough to be, because that exercise is crucial to know whether it's worth going forward or not. Given that the whole point is to make money, yeah. The whole point is to set that up as a pump to kind of finance other activities. So I think the question of profitability of this exercise is crucial.
so I think you have prototype and cost, and before you don't have a prototype, you don't have a cost, and before you invest in the prototype, you kind of have to estimate the cost, right?
And I agree we're far from having a product, but I think the bits that are missing from us having a product don't actually impact the cost that much.
So we agree.
So the cost of production.
It's two parallel processes, but in terms of what we have capacity for, what do we want to prioritize? Is that
No, what I'm saying is that we don't need to right now, we don't need to discuss these details. It's a note that we can.
So for you, it's a priority that it's not,
right
on top of your
at
list,
this
right?
moment.
Or we could do it the other way, we could fill out a product brief and put down the specifications, and we can actually put down ideally how much we wanna have the price per unit and not go past that. And make sure that when this thing is being built, that the production
Okay,
methods
ceilings,
being used, ceiling,
Yeah, like.
we're really sticking to it, and that's where we make the decisions,
Okay.
because otherwise,
No, I do cost analysis for everything. I have
Have
a
a
small
template for
juice
that.
business, dry mango business. So all these things, like I understand the importance of having a cost, because if my competitor can beat me on cost, there's no point in shipping things over here. There's no point in selling or even trying to sell things, because it's not a
So profitable.
yeah, it's not profitable. There's no point in doing it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
what I was trying to say was that in general, there are huge profit margins that exist for products if you're willing to, if you have the initial money to start manufacturing them. There are huge profit margins available, so we don't need to worry about will it be.
I think for every product, basically every product is viable, in a sense, what you're saying.
Every product is viable if there is enough of a consumer base.
Right, there's a price at which.
Yeah, there's like again, you look at the price. Yeah, our product is not so high priced that it's out of reach of most consumers. My estimation is between $30 to $45 is going to be our cost. Even if we sell it for 100% profit, it's about $100.
No, but we're not going to sell it ourselves, we don't have distribution, we have to take into account lots of other intermediates, so the final
The
price.
Kickstarter is selling directly, it's
Yeah.
you,
But Kickstarter is, it's just the first phase, but if you then want to kind of carry on selling it, you're not going to
Yeah,
start up
but-
and Kickstarter,
No,
then
but
you have
if
to set up a.
If you're doing mass scale, you're not doing Arduino anymore. You're not having to buy sensors in quantities of 10 or 50 or 100. Suddenly you're
It's
going
cheaper.
down to bare bone chip level. And the ATM85 chip doesn't cost $15. It costs about $1.50 if you buy just the chip. It's just that it's very complex to program it. But if you do program it, and if you make it your own, like if you use it only for one specific purpose, instead of paying $15, you're just suddenly down to $3 or $4. Instead of buying boards that do 10,000 different things, we're creating a board that will do just one thing.
Yeah, I don't know, that's also part of product design and your strategy, because now you're closing a product.
yeah.
Sorry?
Now you're closing it, you know what I'm saying?
We're not closing it. It's just that instead of having
No, you effectively close it, because even if you put that on open source, the idea is that it's not modular, so people cannot add another sensor to tinker with it.
they could still add sensors. What I'm saying is that it's not Arduino in a sense that we're not buying it as an Arduino board.
Yeah.
They can still program
Yeah, I
it, they can
understand.
still change things. And I'm
No, I
not
understand what
saying
you're
that this is a proprietary system and you can't work anything else on it.
Yeah.
But there's huge costs in going from Arduino to that, there's this cost of engineering and kind of redesigning around mass production, I mean,
That's what Kickstarter is for, so you can get the money to do all those things.
So what do we need to in order to move forward?
So what is your priority? I mean, wait a second. So I sense that this is something that we have to do anyway, and it might not be a great priority for you, but it doesn't stop me from calling my friend and say and do some shopping around just for the plastic thing. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm trying to say is that if some people have the need. If some people have the need in order for them to feel secure in this kind of venture, the need to approximate the costs, somebody could approximate. Might not be you, what I'm saying, you can continue to work on what you're passionate about and follow your priorities. Maybe your priority is the prototype, right? Let's decide on the prototype. That's fine.
No.
Somebody can actually do some estimates just to put some numbers out
Before I
there.
even started working on the project, the first thing I did was do my estimate, to look at the market. That's why I was able to tell you like, yeah, this is $107 or $109. That before you even thought of it, I already did that. Like that's my mindset. Like if it's not profitable, I'm not going to do it. So in my mind, it's profitable. I don't have the numbers to do it right now, but I did have.
No, it's, I mean, there's a cost
No,
estimate.
now you have to go in detail on it, so yeah, that needs to be done.
Yeah.
I
So-
agree, but
So there are numbers actually.
right at this moment, right now, between us, we don't need to discuss it.
We don't need to go to the bottom of it. We just need to put in a list as to do.
That's what I,
That's what it is.
that's what I asked him, like, okay, put that marker, so we.
Yes. Just to, and there is a number, which was done by John. He has the list of prices. If you want to say it as a key, let's say, with open source stuff. Everything that you need to run more than that in electronic cards amounts to probably $60 with batteries and everything. So if you order parts as individual parts, not even wholesale, just order off eBay one part at a time, you have $60 in electronics. There's like one item at a time, and you have to go board, not strict of
Including all the LEDs that light up.
No, the LEDs, I think, the LEDs, the only thing is missing is the LEDs. There's a pump, Arduinos and stuff, batteries.
So, okay, I feel so you have divergent.
Not the casing, not the casing.
So I feel like you just have divergent priorities, and I think that's okay.
Yeah,
No, that's fine, that's fine.
But I mean, what can we just lay these priorities down so that we can, the team knows what are the next steps for people to follow, right? And, it's something, so if somebody wants, to join the team, they'll be able to know, what's the where they can participate, right? Does that work, Evan?
Yeah, sure.
So what's the priority that you see now?
I don't know. No, I just felt that we don't need to discuss all those details right now.
So what do you think? What do you think is the most important thing?
You talked at the beginning. We were talking about, okay, we need to discuss what to do with draft user interface. What are those kind of parameters? What part designs can we look at?
What design?
Part designs. What is
The 4 or 5 designs, right?
4 or 5 designs? That's my idea. That can be workable. Set a deadline for each part of this.
Are you like a designer? Are you like a product designer too, or?
No, I just know a lot about the process of product design.
Okay.
That's all, because I worked a lot with the undergrads at the school as a TA, but more on the theory part, but I was present for the whole, I know what the steps are in doing product design.
So product design, product design as a whole product, or just the design aspect, like the aesthetics and the ergonomics of it?
I'm an interaction designer, so in terms of user interface and that kind of thing, and visuals and making it really slick and that, I can do that very well. I have knowledge that's not practical or experience knowledge about product design, but I'm not a product designer.
Okay.
So yeah.
So we need in order to have these 4 or 5 designs, we need to, how can we come up with the designs? Right? What's the process to come up with?
Yeah, exactly. I can send you links of, okay, these are the parts that I like. One of them look like this one.
You want to show us that?
Sure. Will be on that.
Can you make a Digo list of pictures?
Let me go to my.
So we can put them somewhere?
There was also the bar that people were kind of interested in.
Yeah, Barda, yeah. Barda, they are designers.
Yeah.
They're not really interested in this kind of thing. It's more for public, right?
Well, nobody was talking about this kind of.
Oh,
Scandinavian kind of,
Yeah, he had a design, something like this, right?
Okay, you want another? Do you want a flip?
Is it key? Comme un espèce de cheval d'argent.
Ouais, c'est ça.
So, okay, I feel
I
like
like that actually. What you
Yeah?
were talking about.
Yeah, they are designers actually.
So-
And we can tell them if they want to design with us, yeah. So he was
I was
proposing.
talking of a sort of Scandinavian design from the 70s. I don't know where. And then having a kind of thing.
Oh yeah, for the light, right?
Yeah.
So this gives you the light. Something like this.
But it goes all the way, yeah. All the way to both sides.
Yeah.
That's it, enough.
Oh yeah.
From the middle.
And quite tall.
quite tall.
From the middle of the.
So you were saying that you know theoretically of the process to come up with a productive.
Well, yeah,
Otherwise,
like, you always start off with defining the project in terms of a product brief, which shows everything from looking at, just an overview of everything, like what's on the market, who are the competitors, what kind of, very kind of like high level, but each area, and even getting into like, you're not gonna get into the specifics, like what the design is gonna look like, but you look at things like your target audience, maybe like your costs, like you look at a bunch of, if you have a ceiling, like it's a template that I'm gonna, I guess, create a new page for it and we can fill it in. I guess that would be the best way to proceed with that, and then we can edit it as we go along. That way it can be like this living document.
Yeah.
Because I think that helps at least point us in the right direction, and it doesn't give it isn't like kind of fix us into this is the path that you're taking, you can change, but at least it provides some sort of structure and
because what I get really excited by was this idea that Abraham was starting with like, okay, we have 4 or 5 designs, and then we were talking about these we can make them in different materials, we can make them really adapted to people's taste, right? So like, for example, the plastic could be like really nice brown wood that comes well with the person's indoor design, right? So and I think that in the crowdfunding campaign, it's really important. We were talking about modularity, right? It's like not only are we talking about different products, but we're talking about different designs. And so, just like just taking this, I would say take this and you just put it really nice wood instead, and you have your product, right?
What's the more expensive part of this, the electronics or the housing?
The housing could get really expensive if you wanted.
Yeah, I know that if you wanted, you can go make it. Like, but I mean, the difference between doing it in plastic and doing it in ceramic, would there be a huge difference, or is it?
Usually, I don't know the cost over here. I can tell you Pakistan, which is very cheap.
But it makes it also fragile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the 3D printing idea.
But like, would it look like this? How would it look?
You can print it with wood.
You can only print it one material at a time.
Yeah, and I think it's or you can print with 4 or 5 materials depending on the.
But at a time, like not at the same time.
Yeah, you can.
Okay, I think we should.
Yeah, Daniel wants to buy a 3D printer that places 4 colors at it, but I think he's taking 4 materials, even metal.
The wrong way around. No? I mean, in a sense, the way you manufacture depends on what you want to manufacture. I don't think we can start by saying we want to manufacture it.
No, it's just to be creative, right? It's just to be like, just to show the potential of this kind of product, right? This is the point of the craft.
Because when you were talking about integrating it into a kitchen, this is always custom stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's the kitchen designer upstairs, and she does kitchens for people that have houses. Every kitchen is different, so they would be in a different design.
The kitchen, we're not talking flowers anymore. Then we're talking.
Yeah, like a pot in a whatever.
Herbs or.
It might be also flowers. I mean, she's the designer, and she might tell you where to put that plant, right? It can be on the wall, it can be on the counter, it can be. You never know. But this is a market which is custom design, like low volume stuff. Once in a while we do, and it's probably high margins because it's very custom.
I mean, do we have the qualifications?
I think there the debate is good, but not for the product.
No,
Not for this.
No.
Qualifications.
I mean, I'm not a designer, right? I don't have a designer around the table, so it's like, what's the process of, do we need to talk with people who are actually, growers and who can tell us?
Well, you have to find out. I mean, we're trying to solve a problem because every design sort of aims to solve a problem, and understanding that the use, who you're marketing to, and the use, how it's going to be used. Like, for example, let's say we were to position that as a way to use to grow vegetables. Well, how long would that yield? You're not going to get much of a yield. But you're going to get one round of, you're going to have it for supper for 2 or 3 nights, and then grow it again, and then you have to kind of think about what would motivate somebody to buy it, and figure out and try to maybe talk to potential buyers, talk to people who are interested in growing, and do like a bit of you can do market research. It's not professional market, but just kind of like talk to people who and we can have a focus group where we just ask people what they would like to see in a product, that would be very helpful. Because then we can gather insights, because they're, in a way, they're the experts. We're not the experts in the growing part. Well, honestly, I'm not the expert. I know you maybe,
No.
but I don't know that much. I just study. I like studying food systems, but I'm not an expert in growing. So, if you kind of look at the consumers as being, having these expert opinions, then we can really gather a lot of information, and then we can find out, oh, we never thought about that.
Yeah.
This could help us in our.
But if we're talking about the flour, which was the first step,
Yeah.
this becomes simpler, yeah?
Yeah,
Because
of course,
we just know-
absolutely.
We just know that people want an alive flower.
Yes, that's
That's an alive plant.
exactly.
And that's basically
because it's
the
just there and it's growing, it's not harvesting.
requirement. Harvesting is just about keeping it alive.
Exactly.
And making beautiful, basically.
Once you
Yeah.
get into food systems, that's where it
Yeah.
becomes more
Yeah.
complicated.
Yeah.
But still, the looking good is quite a challenge. Yeah, I mean, it has, as you said, plastic and flowers.
Although the herb thing was interesting because herbs can continue growing, and you can get a lot more yield from herbs than you can from tomatoes, and herbs are a lot more exciting than plants. For people, that really like. Yeah, so that might be because it's
Different people, yeah, different markets, I guess.
Well, yeah, different markets, yeah.
The thing
Because
is,
you have the flower enthusiast, right? You have the flower enthusiast that wants to have a flower that looks good and bloom every
But
month.
how many of those are there compared to people who like to use herbs?
I think what you
More, more people have
Well,
just boring plants that want to
There are
eat
the
at home.
enthusiasts.
there's also the question. It's not the same people, because the people that want to grow herbs in their apartment, a part of them they're just pragmatic people, and they look at herbs that they want to eat and grow in their house. The flower enthusiast is able to pay $500 for something like that, because you see what I'm saying. So yes, the market is different. People are, the demographics can be different in one market or the other. But we also have to look at the price, how much you can sell it for a flower enthusiast. If it looks good and if it flower bloom every month, and that's what they want to see, the flower bloom, they're going to spend a lot of money. Because now you're going from a pragmatic consumer to flower fanatic consumer. You know what I'm saying?
However, I mean, one thing you didn't mention, I think, Amber, that's a sort of cornerstone in the whole idea of the flower at the beginning was the thought that this was going to be mostly for orchids, and that basically we could, through light and water control, improve on the flowering of the orchids. Basically, have orchids that flower much more often than just an orchid that you treat randomly. But it turns out, I don't think it's confirmed, that it's actually not that simple. Well, that's some orchids react to light for flowering, but the ones that people are used to buy in flower shops as orchids, they actually rely on soil temperature, and we can't really control that. I mean, I guess
No, it's not soil temperature, it's ambient temperature.
temperature, okay.
So they start flowering as long, the science behind it is that as long as it's below 26 degrees, they flower. As soon as the temperature goes above 26, you see how they control flowering in greenhouses, how they can make sure that the plants don't flower until the season is right for sales. The way they control it, if you have 28 degrees Celsius and above, up to 34, 35, the plant will grow fine. It will have lots of leaves and everything will be great. It won't flower at all, 0% flowering. You drop it below 26, and certainly or 28, it start to flower, but the rate changes between nighttime temperature, which is non-photoperiod temperature, that's at 14 degrees, and the daytime temperature, which is the photoperiod temperature, and if that's below 26, it will start to flower. If the nighttime temperature is between 14 and 26, so it's lower. The lower it is, 14 was the ideal. Below 14, it started to decrease again, but 14 was the ideal temperature to start flowering. So nighttime was 14, daytime was below 26, and at 14 during the day, 14 during the night, it flowers the most. So 14 is the ideal.
So I'm going to ask again the question: what's the process to design good looking flower pots.
Why are we still only talking about flower pots though? I don't understand that because
Or I don't know.
Here's the system
That's what the.
What's the point of designing something that looks good?
I mean, yeah.
You have to do sketches.
Okay.
You start off with sketches,
Okay.
and even though 3D printing is great for coming up with working prototypes, it's still recommended that you do physical prototypes, even with like materials, and you just use prototyping. And then when you have the proper, proportions and everything, then the industrial designer goes on to build a near final product, and maybe going back to make adjustments, and then working like that. But you have to have some sort of direction about what they're, not just in terms of the water and how much, where the electronics are going to be housed, but how much the thing is going to cost in the end, and who's it targeting, and who's going to be using this. Those are all important questions to take into account.
So it goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning, right? So we're having like this kind of the cyclical conversation, right? And that's okay, but I'm just wondering if.
But you can also use, a lot of industrial designers now, at least in the schools that they're being trained in, there's this thing called, well, you've heard of it, co-design. So they're designing the thing with their clients. So even though their clients are not designers, the sketching and the prototype, it happens with you instead of apart from you. So we can still be included in the process. It's not a surprise where the traditional model, you have a designer who goes off and then they present the ideas and you're kind of caught off guard. You don't know how to react. But if you're part of the process and the sketching happens live, and you're there, then you could, and then the material choice, they can look at that too.
In the open culture, we can do that, like do an event here. And have a design event. And get students that know how to sketch and get some enthusiasts that would like to see the product on, in their hands.
Now, in terms of the model that we have here, the open model, how would that work? I mean, like, what if they didn't want to be part of the network, but want to be paid for the services? Like, how do we
We don't have the money.
Yeah, but
If we have the money,
but if we did have the money, I'm just trying to figure out how the model would work, so what, and people do.
yeah, you could have it.
Okay,
you can hire stuff, but I think it's good to encourage collaboration.
Absolutely.
If it's really a skill that you can't get otherwise, then it's kind of dangerous to create these two-tier systems.
it is.
Because you then
No,
if you justify it properly and say this is a skill that we were waiting to have and we couldn't get for this month and it's crucial, then I think nobody would feel bad that somebody's getting some money and somebody's not getting any money. But just like that, if let's say we get a grant tomorrow and somebody decides to spend some money on something, Daniel can say, hey, what am I here? You know what I'm saying?
Or with, you can.
It can generate these kind of hard feelings.
You can create a post where it's like, we belong to Open Valley Network, and this is what we do, and we're looking for a designer to join our network.
Cool. Yeah. So you have equity in the project if you come up with the greatest design.
That's the whole thing. Like, for the time I'm putting in, I'm getting equity for the project.
I actually know somebody. I just thought of him. He's not trained as an industrial designer, but he's a designer, and he's kind of can do a bunch of different things. He's even built a house. And he's really into the whole green.
Oh, we have one here. Daniel is a designer.
Okay,
He designed all these products around. Everything that you see.
Do you want to show us what your stuff is?
But I'm curious about your question was because of you were saying I don't understand why you're focusing on cloud pods, no?
Okay, so the reason I said that was because plants are going to need the same thing. It's not like flowers need a unicorn hair or something. They need the same thing: water, nutrients, light. And if you have a system that can take care of all that, then why do you limit yourself to just flowers? The reason we chose orchid was because we thought that going with 4 or 5 different kinds of flowers will be very hard to do. It turns out just focusing on orchids itself is very hard as well. So instead of forcing ourselves with just one format, one plant, and one format, I think we are limiting the presentation ability of, like, we're just limiting ourselves to a very focused market, but very few number of people.
I answer that. I think you're right. From a functional perspective, it's all the same.
Yeah.
But from a design perspective, it's not the same. I don't think you package the thing the same way to sell a herb growing container and to sell an orchid kind of growing container. I think from the point of view of making it look good, or the casing has to be kind of adapted to what you propose people grow in it. So
That's
in
why I
that
said-
sense, it's a pain in the neck, because for us as engineers, it's kind of, it's the whole thing. Let's just build something that's kind of big enough to contain anything and,
No.
and kind of,
That's why I said 4 or 5 different designs. One could be a flower pot, the other one could be an herb grower, the third one could be, I don't know, like a different kind of flower pot.
but then we multiply, the workload by 5 and I mean,
because the hardware.
we have to come up with 5 good designs and 5 good prototypes and 5
Yeah, maybe we should focus
5
on
parallel
something.
processes.
At least for the Kickstarter, like focus on one thing or 2 things.
I think it's basically just spreading ourselves thinner. No?
What,
I personally, I think
Unless you make 100 designs and you get
the inside remains the same. Like
No,
the core electronics remain the same. So it's just a matter of fitting those electronics in different casing. It's like you
But
could make
the
it.
casing is complex to design, I think. But to design well and to have all the kind of
But you're saying it doesn't need to be perfect, right? It needs to be, it just needs to be for the people who are interested by the project like that. It's just to like kind of open up opportunities. Actually, that's the way I see it.
well, for Kickstarter it has to look slick. Otherwise, people if you look
No, I
at these videos,
absolutely
they
I
They
do
go
think
for
we
the
need to
slick
focus on one or the other. Maybe if we did like an online survey.
You mean one or the other, like a flower pot or an herb pot?
My gut feeling says that for the flower thing to work, I mean, it would appeal to enthusiasts the most, but I think that more people, I don't know.
But then you're cutting off a huge chunk of the capabilities of what can be marketed. Like, okay, we focus on this core group. There are already systems that do just that.
I mean, I agree with you in saying that we need 4 or 5 designs, but the thing is that we don't have we need to find. I mean, concretely, we just need to find 2 or 3 designers who are ready to sit down with us and.
We don't. For working prototype, I
don't know. I'm not sure what the.
working prototypes. But we're talking about Kickstarter campaign here.
Yeah, for nice photographs, I believe we don't even need a designer specifically. We can just to present ideas that this is the possibilities. Here is what will be available in 3 or 4 months' time. Okay, the front side doesn't look good, so you take a picture from the side, or you show the video from the side. It doesn't have to be absolutely blemish-free from all sides. Like I might not be.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, I'll give it.
I need to get some water. I need to get some water.
So here's the thing, like that I copied off the internet. I copied the proportions. I measured the proportions in the picture and I copied the proportions. As long as like there's general proportions that you can follow. By designers I mean people who can design things with their hands without having to copy things. If we don't have that capability, we should not limit ourselves just because we don't have someone doing that.
You think we should go with an existing design? We just copy an existing design and that's it.
Here, like I showed you pictures of
Like this one.
yeah. I showed you pictures of designs that people have shared. These are commercially available pots. Like something like this. We could use this as a design.
Okay, so you think we shouldn't waste much time coming up with an original design? We shouldn't focus on the originality of the design as a selling point. It should be like the functionality, novel functionality in a kind of not very original design that's still looking good. Is that what you're saying?
You remember Neva, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Their design, it looks good, right? But
It's nothing kind of.
yeah, it's not like it's space age materials or anything. It's just It's just nice portion. That's what I'm saying. We don't need we don't need it to be finely painted, calligraphy, stuff like that on it. It just needs to have nice portion.
Yeah.
So
And to be adapted to what
yeah.
you propose people grow inside, or you don't even think of.
No, we don't even need to grow things inside it. We can go get microgreens, put them in.
No, but I mean, do we market it as a microgreen thingy, or
No,
or
we-
flower
we-
thingy, or an anything growing thingy?
We tell people, hey, this is the core, this is the core controls all the different parts. So then you have, then it's up to you. You can use the same system to grow herbs into something like this. You can use the same system to grow flowers in something like this. You can use it to hang flowers as pictures using something like that. So you give them idea that it can be used in different areas. So you don't limit yourself in interest. Somebody might be super interested in herbs, but they don't care about growing flowers. So why do if you just go with
So
flowers?
what do you offer as a reward? One of 5 possible designs? Are we going to have to manufacture the 5 in terms of?
Actually, some sites force you not to have your product as a reward. Kickstarter doesn't do that, but there are sites that specifically tell you that you cannot sell and you cannot give your product as a reward. So our product, if it's $50, a lot of people only want to know $5. So,
Which color you want?
Okay, so you, so that's the, okay, that's a
You have to come up with
proposal, yeah.
rewards. You have to come up with rewards.
I mean,
It could be, I don't know, for $20 I'll give you
T-shirt.
a t-shirt. For $5 I'll send you a thank you card. For $1 I'll send you an email.
An insulting email.
I actually, yeah. No, people are like, okay, for $10 I'll send you a thank you note from Japan.
For $1 I give you to spammers.
Yeah. There were people who raised $30,000. One of the rewards for $500. You contribute $500. They'll come to your house and cut your grass for a week. Like, sorry, for a month. They'll come every week to cut the grass in your house. So they'll do it once a week. That was the reward. People paid
Can you sing? Can you sing?
No.
So,
No, I'm just saying, people give rewards like that.
yeah. For crowdfunding campaign, huh?
Yeah.
There's a guy sitting on the toilet.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
As long as people, huh? As long as people crowdfund him.
Yeah.
So what was this for? For paper?
Toilet paper. Recycled toilet paper.
Yeah.
okay, but then, okay, because just to summarize what we got, Gavin is saying basically, I think there's a fork between using the Kickstarter as a pre-sale kind of marketing validation of the idea. Aaron is more like saying, fuck it, you know, I mean, you don't even have to give your product as a reward. You just use Kickstarter really as a kickstart and not worry about validation of the idea. The validation will come later.
Your idea gets validated at the same time too.
I guess validation
Another
is not
product.
commercially.
The product is not getting funded.
People not putting money on this, so I want that. Or this looks cool, or I don't know. It's less. It's not the price. It's not the price that reflects really the kind of value process. You're not putting the Kickstarter in the kind of consumer state of mind. Yeah, it's just.
I don't understand why it's really work. People can give you $10 for a t-shirt or for the hey, yes guys.
No, but I think it's
If
either
you $12 for
okay, but if it's either or, then it's still because Aaron wants to get rid of the constraint of having to commit to a particular design that then you're obliged to manufacture, and it says if we rid ourselves of this obligation of coming up with one slick design, then we can open up and have 5 different ones.
You can.
I think there's some in the fridge.
Yes.
I have to buy some more because I think this belongs to Emmanuel.
Are you there every day in this space?
You
Are
want
you there every day?
Milk in the fridge?
Yeah, but thank you.
I don't know.
Actually, in 20 minutes.
Yeah. So you think the priority is for you now?
No, but it's just one year.
No, I mean, I would like to back up that as well. I don't know what we're doing.
Well, where are we? I mean, we just took a break, coffee break.
So yeah, but how can we?
Tu veux qu'on prenne une décision autour de comment gérer la.
Bah, enfin,
Je veux dire, c'est ce que vous avez peut-être parlé, c'est comment c'est quoi la stratégie pour la campagne, c'est ça?
bah, maintenant, j'essaie juste de voir quelle idée vraiment claire et commune se dessine. En fait, plus on discute des fois, plus on voit que les gens ne pensent pas pareil. Ça nous fait juste fermer les portes. Fermer les portes de manière cohérente, donc tout le monde voit la cohérence pareil.
Mais moi, je pense qu'il faut pousser les gars. Je pense que.
Ah oui.
Sinon, I like the leveraging idea, so I think we should focus on step one, and the problem now is what is step one? We need to focus on that in order to be able to leverage it, right?
Is step one the crowdfunding campaign?
Huh?
Is step one the crowdfunding campaign?
I think the crowdfunding campaign is a reachable thing because you only need a prototype, and I think we're sitting on hardware and software already, which is done. And I think we have enough. We have enough to have a crowdfunding campaign. What we really need is a design and propose a product.
Okay.
But you don't agree with that.
No, I agree with that.
I agree.
There's a few things that we are almost there, but there are a few things that we need to figure
I
out.
mean, we can still do it. I mean, it's not going to take 2 days to build a crowdfunding campaign.
Yeah, it takes about at least a couple of weeks to build this all together.
Yeah, you need someone to do video now.
Yeah.
That's costly unless you.
We have some resources that can. It's my cousin that is the video. Yeah. Did you meet him?
Well,
yeah, he does video clips for rappers around.
Nice.
And he has a super nice camera. And he knows the technique how to do a video. He's not an artist, but
You need to write a.
he can shoot for sure.
Yeah. Think of the content. Blah blah blah.
So, you know, when
So it would be nice. It would be nice to have some people starting to work on that, like starting to work on a narrative for the video, starting to work on ideas about the script.
You need a script.
The script, yes, yes.
But for that we have to agree on what.
Meanwhile, some other people they do the design and some other people.
So that we have to agree on what you're selling. Yeah. What really.
Yes, you have to focus on the design, right?
On whether it's 1 or 5 designs, whether it's which
no, but
design.
it's one design, but you're showing 5 designs to say. I mean, that's how I understand. You're showing 5 designs to say the potential, right? If we have money, is that it?
I don't know.
Okay, we are showing 5 designs that are going to be the default designs that you can buy from us. I'll flash out from a mind map how all these things are going to work out. But there'll be a marketplace where you could buy third-party. That's the best way to describe it. Third-party designed spots. So it could be a random person, I don't even know who, a designer that designed a pot that looks really nice and he really likes it, goes with his color scheme and his Walkman, so he buys that.
So that should be a design from the 80s.
I don't use my Walkman. I'm not possibly attached to it.
That's only because it's not working.
Yeah, it's working.
Wait, just to go back at the very beginning, what we said, we were talking about software and hardware, which I think just took the bulk of the conversation today. And then we were talking about marketing and user, and then we were talking about coordination at the end, right? Did you feel like we talked about the marketing and the user interface?
No, not at all.
Not at all.
I haven't even talked about user interface yet. What are things? How are people going to interact with it? what kind of features.
But in order for us to continue the conversation, we're not going to be able to keep up all of the conversation today, right? So,
Okay.
you're saying we have, we have 15 minutes to say.
No, I have, I mean,
Yeah, you have 15
it's just me.
I can say,
Yeah, it's early.
Can you stay, Aban?
Yeah.
Can you stay?
In terms of user interface, if you make it just an autonomous bot, then it's very simple, yeah, just.
no, he's thinking about how you communicate with it with your iPhone.
Why do you want?
If you want to turn it off on, say hello to your plant from
You're
Mama's place.
No, but you're talking about an ideal world where these kind of things won't matter, where pictures actually, where nice presentations won't matter, where the functionality matters. I would love that world where like that's my favorite line. Like I would actually love a world where people didn't buy iPhones in the numbers they buy them for, or for the prices they buy them for.
Okay, so you basically just want to have a.
But that's the
Well-
reality. The reality of the world is that design sells more than functionality.
Mhm.
And I'm very sad about it. And I hate
No,
that
but
about it. But that's the only
But
thing
does
that's
good design mean kind of useless
nice looking,
features?
useless, absolutely useless features.
I'm not sure about that.
It can be a total gimmick. But
Yeah,
it's-
okay, but then I have a bit of
Ethical issue.
an ethical issue with that. I mean, I
No,
know
he
that-
has an ethical issue too.
Yeah,
But he's saying
This
is
is a first step, right?
But it won't continue selling if it's so crappy because people will have.
No,
no, he's not saying that.
I'm giving you an example that
Yeah.
worthless, useless things.
Yeah, I
sell.
know they
Yeah.
do. For a while, for the first
Yeah,
while,
yeah.
and then people write reviews and nobody buys it.
What,
Yeah.
what I'm saying is that our thing is not worthless. So rather than not having it sell in the first place because it did not look nice or it did not people are used to cell phones. People who spend money want something very simple, very nice looking. There is a certain design language in like it has to be white on the background, nice looking images, bright images, all
gold
these
numbers,
things.
proportions.
Yeah, all these. It has to look nice. People will buy it.
So you want to put emphasis on design. That's what you want to do. It's
So
not
you
it's
really-
not that you want to de-emphasize the functionality. You want to put emphasis on design now as a priority.
And you want to promise an app that
Why
comes in the
not?
thing?
Why not?
Because it what?
I don't think
Complex.
that, but honestly, I don't think that you can separate form from function.
No, you're right. You're right.
I know what
I
you're
didn't
saying, I know
say-
what you're saying, but that works more for apps than it does, I think, or for phone, like, it works for things that people have an emotional attachment to, like phones more than it does other things. You
First,
know?
you have an Apple, right?
I have many things. I was on Windows and Apple before, and now I'm on Android. I like using a bunch of different
Nice.
systems. I like to know the different platforms. I've designed apps across all three platforms, mostly for Windows and Arduino.
Nice. Yeah, that's crazy. I'm glad they have this works.
Okay, so but it's suddenly a whole different game. Yeah, suddenly if you want to have an app, what for iPhone, Android, multi kind of
That's a whole other.
platform app that does.
Is it worth talking about it today?
But
Because I feel like, this.
No, we don't need it for the crowdfunding.
no, you don't need it
That's-
today.
that's
You
the
don't
only
need it
comment.
today. But just something that we should keep in the back of our heads is that we have to keep in mind what platforms the software is going to be used from. Is it just the phone, or is it going to be on a tablet or desktop too? If it's just the phone, you have to keep it as simple as possible, because when do people use their phone? Like you use it for specific tasks. You're not going to sit there and play with complex settings on your phone. Usually be like, oh shit, I forgot to do this.
This is what I want to talk
Adjustment,
about. What kind of
The context is
Yeah.
the use is different. The context when you're on the phone, which is when you're on the move, than when you're on on your tablet, which is more, you have more time.
okay.
So that's
So
the,
that's something different.
so the feature list. The feature list should be different depending on whether it's a desktop or tablet, could be the same kind of thing,
Yeah.
or an iPhone. We should have like a feature list.
Okay.
And then phase out the features, like what features do we want to do in phase 1? What features do we want to add in phase 2, and then, so forth. I think that we need to kind of plan it that way,
Okay.
so that we move in a
Yeah,
direction
no,
where.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I do the feature, all this kind of planning, organizing around design, I can do that part.
No, absolutely, like, that's what I want to talk about, like,
But I mean, you can talk about it
Yeah, yeah,
together, right?
yeah, we could talk about it.
Because I feel like,
no, this is something that needs to be validated by everyone.
Okay.
What do you think is like a proper level of
features.
Features for the first bit?
yeah, proper level of
What do we
interaction
decide?
that people people should have, not what they're going to have right away, but what people should have. Like, is it too much to tell them that you enter the numbers for the moisture sliders, or do we not give them that option for moisture at all? What is the appropriate level? What is the amount of interactivity? Do they get emails
The things that,
every day? Would that be a required feature?
Well, I don't know about emails, but I definitely like the whole, we're kind of moving more away from apps and more towards notifications, right? So your notification screen, you're gonna see, I think as time moves forward, it's gonna be more and more, complete and everything. And imagine you're on your Google card, you can get, if you have a Gmail account, it can tell you also that your humidity level is low, and you should maybe adjust.
Yeah.
Maybe you're going from one season to the next, and what your present settings don't work for the new season, and you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
I think it's smart.
I still fail to see
Very simple.
what the app is going to bring. I mean,
Well, how do you change the parameters? So first of all, it's if you don't have a screen and the little buttons to say like, this is the threshold of humidity where I want to. So you either opt for a little screen with buttons like the scissors thing, or then you eliminate that completely from your thing and you rely on a cell phone. In which case, it might be a little problematic because maybe some people don't have cell phones or tablets.
No, that's fine. You don't need
This is
to.
the screen. Right?
No,
It's like you're outsourcing the screen to the user.
yeah, you don't need.
okay. Yeah, I guess I was still in the frame of mind that we were selling
Automate, like,
something
No, not
really
necessarily,
automated
not
and
necessarily.
that way, like autonomous, and that the person doesn't have to worry about anything. But yeah, if they have
But I don't think that would work because you never know the.
Are they going to change anything?
You
you
never
need to
know the
monitor,
settings.
right?
Yeah.
You need to monitor, and at the same time, it's just like.
to monitor, no, I mean, the thing could monitor, because I was still in the frame of mind of 4 kids and da where we had kind of worked out the setup and kind of really narrow application.
I think it's hard to sell a canned solution and expect it to work because you can never predict how people use it.
Yeah, because okay, if it's just an app to set up 3 or 4 parameters, yeah, I guess that's pretty trivial to plan across platform.
Or even just,
Yeah.
what stage is the plant at?
Yeah.
If you're not close to, if you're away from home.
Like
What stage? Is it in the blooming stage? Is it in the?
Or you plant.
It can't tell you that. What plant can't tell you that?
No, and then it's kind of,
It depends on what sensing you have today. If you have an NDVI camera, you can.
Oh.
Yeah.
If you have a camera mounted there, take a picture and send it to them.
Yeah.
Take it on.
yeah, that,
Did you talk about the camera last time?
It's something that I don't know how expensive or how it
Okay.
functions, so I
Okay.
didn't talk about it, but.
It's $30 a camera that just came out now that monitor plant health. It's an open source camera. $35. I think it's an overkill for these kind of things. For something like production unit that have, let's say, in the basement of a building that whole family share, I think that would be a new setting.
the NDVI, the little things called like that.
No, there's another one that came. It's a long strip camera.
Yeah.
Okay, it's
Not
not
all of it,
yeah.
I would say that it would have to be very simple, like like, what would you want to do?
Yeah.
You would want to water it, so you'd want to know if for some reason it wasn't getting enough moisture, and then you could add more water. I don't know.
No,
That's you can't do more than that, right?
No, I
Yes,
actually
you
just,
can.
yeah,
I mean, you wouldn't in the beginning.
no,
Yeah, you would.
Well, you
by,
can do more.
by app, by what I meant
Nice.
by app was not like how are you gonna play around. I want to give people that feature, but that's an advanced feature. That's an advanced feature where you can go in and set the amount of moisture that's going to be maintained, the exact amount of light, because to know those things, you need to be an expert grower to do those things. What I want people to do is actually download settings from that have been proven to work, and just use those. So it's kind of like a way of exploring.
And maybe
getting
changing a little bit with some sliders or.
just notification that hey, you need to water us, and like the water's going to run out tomorrow, so water it. Your nutrients are good for another 6 months, or you need to change the nutrient cartridge. Or
But for the first phase, we're gonna have all this stuff, like the.
no, you can build on it. In the first phase, it's just the 4 or 5 different plant settings that we have: tomatoes, basil, these things.
Maybe the question is not understood. So you want to know how much
In terms of the
technology there is in the plant?
No, I want to know for the first feature, in terms of phases, are we phasing in the features, or we're just doing?
No, the idea I think in the phase 1 was to have at least water and light.
Okay.
Well, water, light, and nutrients. So here's the thing, okay? If you go Kickstarter with something, you have to look at the previous ones. And the first one was just water and irrigation, just automatic irrigation. That was the first one. I think they raised $200,000 with this system, right?
Which one was that?
Was it? No, I think it was also hydroponic. It was for the hydroponic system. Then it got more complicated. Okay, now you have lights included. So basically, if you propose something that is just irrigation and light, you're not new. And people say, "Oh, I found this guy." Right? Like, there's nothing new. There's no innovation. And I think Kickstarter is also the wow factor in innovation. Design is also good, but you have to come up with something. So I think as we enter this, the last one I saw that they raised $600,000. They have irrigation, they have light, and they have the pot. They have nutrients that are encapsulated into some micro thing. They call it like nano earth, whatever. You might not believe it, but that's what they claim.
It's a clay pellet that has been treated with nutrient water, and they take it out and let it dry, so the nutrients are dried up with a clay pellet. You water it, and suddenly the nutrients become active again.
Yes,
that's
yes.
what they're doing.
Yeah, but that's an innovation, meaning that they instead of putting just soil, they kind of prepare that soil in a specific manner with the proper amount of nutrients for a specific plant. Okay, so they give you that little soil, okay, that little pot where you put the seeds. Okay, it's sort of engineered soil, right? Okay, let's call it that way, engineered soil.
So what would be our?
So they have like these 3 innovations.
What would be our sort of innovative feature?
Well, it can be temperature.
I
On
was
top
gonna
of
say
that.
temperature.
What do you mean temperature? Sorry, temperature?
I would say.
We were experimenting with a peltier that can produce heat and cold. So we were thinking, no, ambient temperature.
Ambient temperature?
Yeah.
So what, you're going to heat or cool around the plant, if that suddenly becomes, well, I mean,
Well, we're not talking about pragmatic stuff, right? So yeah, you plug it in and
you're going to put it in a chamber, like the plant is suddenly insulated from the rest
you
of
can slowly blow some air.
Don't you need a certain temperature in order to grow vegetables in the wintertime, or if you want to keep your rest of your apartment cooler? What if there's a power outage? What if there's, and then your plants.
So if you want to flower it, okay. So here's another edge that we can do it. That's why I think temperature is important. The other edge that we can do is that we can make that flower not just a plant. Okay. So you can use it for expensive plants, but controlling flowering, I think I never heard none of these things they tell you that you can control the flowering. I was also thinking about some plants that are very dynamic, like
well, we would have to see for it to do it then.
yes, but you don't have to promise that. You say here's a platform, and if you figure out the right parameters, you can actually do it. You don't have to set it as it does it for sure. You know what I'm saying? You can set the expectations.
What is the reason for automating all these things? So that people don't have to put in the settings. They don't have to worry about is the moisture too much for a tomato, or is it too little for a cucumber?
Yes.
That is the whole reason.
But you don't have that science thing on. You can't say, I guarantee that your tomato is going to come up and you're going to have a kilo of tomatoes. You know what I'm saying? So you cannot sell that kind of expectation in your product.
Why not?
Because you don't have the science.
No, there is the science.
Yes, but that requires at least a year of you experimenting with that flower in a basement in a controlled environment.
No, for a few things it does exist already.
Yeah, but I'm saying implemented in something, it's very different.
Oh, you guys using
We
this
can't
computer?
guarantee that, yeah. Anyway, we can't guarantee that because can you log in from the other one? We can't guarantee that.
No, I'm not saying.
I would not feel comfortable to come up with a
I'm
part
not
and say
saying-
I guarantee that.
I'm pretty sure we can. I'm not guaranteeing it. What I'm saying is that it will grow these plants well. Do you think that Niva people spent 3 or 4 months growing a tomato plant before they went?
No,
But they
that's what I'm saying.
promise, their premise, they're not promising it, but they are suggesting very strongly.
But they don't sell you that saying this is a closed system, you can't tweak the parameters. It's preset to work for your tomato and it will work. They don't say that.
No,
I'm sure they give you access to tweak the parameters yourself.
yes. So what I'm saying is that we tell them that these are the parameters that we found that will work really well for tomato plant. Now, it might not work for you.
Yes,
But
exactly. That's what I'm
It
hearing.
will, it works for our plant and it should work for
Yeah,
any
that's
red cherry.
Anyway, man, as long as you
It's a
control,
compromise. You can't guarantee anything. You know?
as long as you control parameters, you're sure to have better, better results than in the field. At least 300% better results.
No, that's
Okay.
true.
Guillaume is about to leave, and it'd be nice to know what what kind of leverage he has if he wants to continue contributing in this budget.
Oh, Guillaume is always in the company. I need his feedback. So he, like it or not, I'm gonna keep on sending him emails. I'm gonna send him emails be like, Guillaume, this is my idea. What do you think? No, Guillaume is he wants to work with community gardens or for him. If you're talking about
Yeah, well, what do you want to do? What do I want to do? Very quickly, I'll tell you. But because the more I think about this idea, the more I see that it's like water, yeah? It's kind of, there's so many options, and you have to think of a hypothetical customer which you don't know how much, you know what he wants, you know what he wants to spend, you don't know. This annoys me, frankly. And also, I think for the kind of structure we are, where people come in, come out, I don't know, I find it very difficult to design a product like that, to be honest. I find that this kind of open structure, at least what I've seen so far, I mean, maybe I get it wrong, but. So anyway, I got excited by this idea that what's of a simpler problem in a sense, that got me excited by a link someone put on the Sensorica Digo thing, which is this guy who started growing salads in Mirabel in a kind of fully controlled environment, and he wants to do 500 salads per square foot per year in a kind of all LED kind of environment. And so basically this got me excited about the thought, okay, there's him and there's the same guy, there's someone doing the same thing in Japan. Post Fukushima, they started thinking, okay, we have to grow food in a way that's protected from nature, from the kind of, well, not nature in this case, but from radioactive things. In London, there's people who start growing stuff underground. We've seen that, under plasma function in in kind of tunnel. So I was thinking that's clearly the same way people grow pot anywhere in kind of black, unlit places. I think we could imagine that there's a market, maybe. I mean, I'm not entirely sure there is, but I think it's very interesting to investigate whether kind of unused basement space can be converted into productive food space, basically. And so basically, that's what I'd like to try to set up. Is just equipment to produce useful food that can be sold to restaurants and to people. And I don't care about the packaging. Then suddenly this whole idea of design.
When you're moving away from the consumer market, the design is not as important.
Yeah, design is not important at all. It's just we can focus on functionality, which is having a clear,
Yes, but the
clear
question-
measurable at the end, which is how many
how do you fund
tomatoes.
that? How do you get there? I mean, it's a beautiful idea. And I resonate with it as well. Okay, the question is, we're here. Okay, you're proposing something here.
I think it's pretty.
And let me tell you something, because I know how this community is run. Before we get there, we're gonna die.
No,
Believe me, because I know. Now, this thing is something that is here.
Okay. I think you live from it by selling your vegetables, basically. So you have to pretty quickly
Yeah, but even before
assess your cost.
even before
And you get grants. Yeah, you get grants because I was thinking maybe in the framework of economy solidaire, maybe you could kind of imagine that more than just setting one unit, you working on a template which you can then replicate and have kind of people in social reinsertion. Anyway, you could try to apply for. In fact, yesterday I was at the thing. It's my photo. But the SEDEC is this kind of thing that was funding sort of initiative. But anyway, you're going to be that they're having their throats slashed. So anyway, they a lot of the money they were giving, they're not going to be given anyway. But I think if your idea is convincing, I mean, you could kickstart it. You could do anything. I think you have a good idea. You'll find funding, basically. Yeah. It's just
I've been trying to do that for months and months.
It's just a matter of getting to the point where you can show, and I'm not even sure it's good. I mean, the food is actually so cheap when it reaches the supermarket because there are so many indirect subsidies that it's actually not even certain that it works. I'm kind of convinced because these people put $100 million in Mirabel to grow salad, so he must have done this calculation. I hope he did it right. So if he can do it, buying very expensive equipment, maybe we can do it at a lower scale with open hardware and with equipment we kind of build ourselves.
I'm sure we can. I think
I kind of hope, but I don't want to. I was starting to make some calculations in my head and thinking, okay, well, how many samples do you have to? And suddenly you realize, wow, it has to be
Super, it has to be automated and it needs to be.
So yeah, so basically, I think what you have to do is rent a space dedicated to that and build a few of these modules, play with, start contacting restaurants, at least a few would be interested in buying the stuff, and monitor not just the growth, but the balance sheet at the end.
I think it's a valid concept.
And after 2 or 3 months, once you have your first batch,
But this is we all want to. I mean, I want to do that as well. It's like
everybody wants to do it. I want to do it too.
Okay, so let's do it then.
Okay, if you come up with the money to rent that space, and if you come up with the money to work on that thing.
Okay, but I don't think we can do it as an OVM. That's the thing. I think we have to set up some other in order to be able to get funding.
Then I'm not interested.
That's the thing.
No, but the thing is that one core element in that is automation and is that together, and this is what you're getting.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
but it could still be a co-op or whatever. It doesn't have to be kind
I'm
of,
happy. Look,
but it has to be a structure that people recognize and are willing to kind of give money to it.
as long as
Well, they can give money to things like this.
no, but we're talking about
People do
we have to bridge what's
Yeah,
we have all the hardware and the expertise to run that system electronically here. You can purchase that system here, as in the garden manager thing. You can purchase that, or you can share that. You can run a business out of that. That's okay. It's not exclusive.
No, it's not exclusive. I'm not saying.
but it's like
No, I'm just saying that if we're talking about
What?
if we're talking about something that would maintain this community, we have to go through some processes, right? And the reality is that we need to find a way to sustain this community. I mean, I'm here for this community.
Yeah.
I don't care about what happens elsewhere. Okay? I'm here for that. Personally, okay? I'm invested in this. So I'm focused on something that can bring something to this community in a very near future. You know what I'm saying? I really like the project, but this is not an adjacent possible. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
Well, it could be an adjacent.
what I call adjacent is next month and the month after. For me, if you can make it happen in January or February, for me that's not an adjacent possible. This is an adjacent possible. That's why I'm supporting this project.
How long do you think before you get?
no, but I think we're talking about two different things.
You can do a crowdfunding campaign pretty easily because we essentially have everything that we need. You see, but that thing.
I think there's a lot of work, huh?
Well, no, but can we agree? Can we agree on the time scale? I mean, and the effort. You know what I'm If you're talking about industrial things,
Not
or
industrial.
okay, community things,
I'm talking about trying it on a kind of surface, 40 square meters.
yeah,
maybe.
that's fine. But to deploy that as a technology, you need to build an organization, and you need to pump money into buying the hardware, testing it out, renting the space.
So
there's two different modalities.
From government agencies.
Have I ever raised money for government agencies?
Yeah.
Mostly for research, but for my own research, yeah. Like
How hard was it?
If you're in a university, it's easier.
yeah, I was at university and I was applying for grants and
No, that's okay, but
But
you know, as a, for the prototype business that might develop community, do you think that governments will be able to finance you for that thing, right away in?
yeah, I think so. I think so. I think at least you wouldn't need very much.
No,
I
but
think,
there's just so many people like Guillaume, there's a critical mass around this kind of indoor urban agriculture growing, right? The thing is that
But it does take time.
it takes time,
It does
right?
take time. You
So,
need
yeah.
professional grant writers. You can't just look at the grant yourself. This is something I'm very passionate about. Anything that's community oriented, but it does take time.
But I feel like, going back to why I was asking that Guillaume to Guillaume, it's like, what he's thinking of is something that's further ahead,
Yes.
or that needs this kind of technology.
Well, that's what I think. Yeah,
That's why
to get
he's
there,
here.
you need to leverage.
I don't need the
That's
app.
what
I don't need the
No, that's fine. You know,
Actually,
What do you
I-
not in that case?
Because if your
No, I
proposition
agree.
is if your proposition is let's drop this and jump to that project,
No,
that's
I'm not saying.
I get it straight. We're gonna starve to death before you get there. Because I
I'm
know.
not suggesting anyone drops anything.
Because I know, and I can show you numbers.
He's just talking about his personal.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
That's
No,
just, I don't know, that's just something that fits my personal kind of interest
too.
very well.
Me too.
Me too.
And also seems like a very concrete goal. Like I kind of have the feeling,
You went to
I don't
space,
know,
you
I can't do
went-
it myself because I don't have all the skills, but I can very clearly see what skills are needed and
Look
what
here.
is needed.
No,
And
we see that too,
the
but
path to me
but the
is
resources
much
are good.
clearer than to this.
No,
To this, there's lots of elements which I don't even know where to. I mean, there's a lot of more fuzziness for me, given my skills, and I think you maybe tend to underestimate as well a bit the difficulty I think there is in getting to a finished product. I think a finished kind of mass marketable product. I think to me, it seems, at least my intuition says to me, it's not that easy.
well,
It's not that
if people
easy.
do it on Kickstarter,
Well, people do, yeah, I mean, if people do it, we'd have to see how many people deliver, because running a successful Kickstarter campaign doesn't mean, I don't know what the statistics
I
of
also think
people actually then delivering on the
Let's
national
try.
life. It's easy to promise, yeah? It's another to deliver.
but I want to try it.
Once we have the money, so it's pre-ordered, it's sold. Okay, once we have the money, then we can maybe build a team to ensure that we deliver the stuff.
Okay, I'm not saying it's not feasible, I'm just saying,
As long
I'm just
as
saying
long
that
as-
the other avenue seems like much more,
Commercial.
Yeah,
no, but also
right here,
easier
that's
to
the
implement.
second
Like,
step.
but
It's good in terms of what?
in terms of the actual bam steps that kind of leads to. I mean, in a sense, it's just like
But is
going
it possible?
pods. You know, the only thing we need is a successful pod grower and telling him, just come here and grow tomatoes and salads instead of pods. I mean, the
Inside or outside? Inside, right?
inside, yeah.
Yeah, that's the second step. Multi-location growing.
No, I agree. That's
For
fine.
me, that's the second step.
But so in a sense, I would skip the first one because I'm not. I think the
That's
risk of
fine.
the first one being successful at funding the second one is very high. Actually, I'm not convinced.
Yeah, but the risk of buying before you get to the US step without doing the first one is not. I can send you the numbers.
You could get the funding. I think you could get if you write a proper business plan and go to the right people to
Yeah,
ask
we
for
can't
money.
even get, there's a crowdfunding online for funding Sensoria for a month. Okay. We're not able, I mean, the community doesn't get even behind that.
Because
To
maybe
found
it's
a
too
space.
fuzzy. Because it's too fuzzy. Because it's
No.
I don't know. Maybe you.
Well, what is too fuzzy? I mean, people write articles about Sensoria And people, it's about participation. It's not about fuzziness. Like how many emails have you sent to your friends for this crowdfunding campaign?
Which one?
For this go-to funding for Sensorica. You see?
Mm.
So it's about participation. Okay? And you think, oh, we're gonna make a crowdfunding, oh, we're gonna fund this, oh, we're gonna fund that. Yo, it doesn't work like that. I mean, I have 4 years of experience within this environment and this community. Okay? It's easy to say that we're gonna do this and we're gonna do that. I'm gonna tell you, and I show you numbers that before you go there, you're just gonna die and you're not gonna get there.
In the worst case, I can take my own money. I mean, in a sense, for that project, I'd be willing to put like my time for 3 months plus $5,000. If someone else.
I don't think you go too far with that.
I think I'd go as far as I need to be able to.
Because the problem
bootstrap the process.
because the problem is that people don't even realize that you have to maintain a community before you do anything. You see what I'm saying? So it's not even step one.
That's if you want to do it the OVN way. I mean, if you want
No,
to
no,
do it in
you need a lab to do anything, right? So forget about OVN. You need people to help to put on top of your $5,000 something, right? You need people to put something on top of that, to rent a space, to buy equipment. If it doesn't happen in this context, why would it happen in the other context? You know what I mean?
Because in the other context,
I have to go anywhere.
okay, he's running it purely as a business. I think your idea is valid and it works. If you have a few $1,000s, you can at least start to make it work. I agree with that. But the thing is, it will be.
I'm skeptical of the $5,000 to move something off the ground. $5,000 you have rent for 2 months.
No, because you want to rent something very cheap, like that's free
For
not
that's
used
rent for about 4 months.
a basement. Actually, I have in my co-op, there's lots of empty basement. I can make
You
it
can rent
with the
storage space.
yeah.
And stack up. I agree that for $5,000 you can start experimenting. But
Yeah, start experimenting.
it'll be.
Yeah. No, of course, it won't take you to profitability. I
Yeah.
agree. It will take you to the stage where you're confident, where you have a good idea
Where you
of
can
whether.
approach people and say
Say-
this is a workable model.
So ideally, people would buy the produce and the stuff grown in this
Yeah.
space, like restaurants and.
Yeah. Exactly. So it's basically what these people are doing at a mega scale with millions of dollars. I just want to see how scalable down the idea is, basically.
I wonder if there's a way for you to do your idea without renting space by hooking up with another community, like a daycare or a school or a hospital or whatever, and doing your experiment there, and them giving you the space for free.
Yeah.
And that way you experiment,
Maybe.
and then you can see what's needed, and that way you're not, when you're starting out.
But I think the space you can get for pretty cheap because that's the whole preset of the idea is that you're going to rent crap space in a sense. I mean, space which has low value for other uses anyway, like basement space or
What are you gonna do about rats?
You don't affect them.
I don't know.
Really?
Question.
I mean, in those kinds of sort of derelict kind of areas, you're
Well,
gonna
not
get
maybe. Yeah. Okay. It has to be kind of not derelict to the point that rats come and eat it.
Yeah.
That's a good- I thought-
I had some
thought about
squirrels eat my tomatoes.
Yeah.
once in a while.
You could rent a parking garage in downtown for $150 a month. You can rent a garage. Yeah, like a nicely heated garage. That can house.
Nobody
a
will let
garage.
you do that kind of experiment because everybody that grows, people are scared about you growing plants in indoors.
Yeah. That's why you have to have a name, kind of.
Like what? Why?
Because
They think it's
it
fun.
destroys them first of all.
Is it?
Because they know that pot destroys houses. So I don't think you can just find any space and do that experiment.
But anyway, I think there could be a good match with Sensorica because if you develop the technology, I mean, this.
I'm not saying it's not. I said from the
this could-
beginning, this is a nice project, but let's think about realistically in terms of priorities. You know what I'm saying? Like when you say that we can skip this step and go to the other one, this is where you get to me because I don't think it's
I mean,
realistic.
okay,
You know what I'm
that's
I think
my
it's
gut
totally
feeling.
realistic.
Maybe it is. But it's just
Because
I
I'm crunching the numbers of Sensorica every month, and I know that we need something, okay, to sustain this community.
Yeah.
Okay, and I know that's not it.
Hmm.
Okay, and you should believe me. And if you don't believe me, I show you the numbers and I show you the reality.
Okay, maybe
And when
what
you-
would
when you
help
say-
me to believe that this idea
and
can
when
get
you
us
say-
somewhere is seeing the numbers. making what I was talking about at the beginning, like more of a business plan of, okay, this is like the kind of price we want to manufacture product for, this is how many you can expect to sell, blah, 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 you know, to have a convincing case that there is a viable market. I think that's what's missing, in a sense, to convince and to inform maybe the whole decisional process as
Listen,
well,
I think
because otherwise I have the feeling we
You just
kind
need
of...
to take these crowdfunding campaigns done by these people and understand how they've done it. And I don't have to convince you. You have to say, okay, let's do like them. Because since we have examples in this world, I don't have to convince you that this thing works. Because I can just point with the finger here, here, and there.
But the
I don't have to convince you.
campaigns
You have to learn how these things.
The crowdfunding campaigns I've seen work, yes, they were quite slick. I mean, they look to me like they took a lot of time to prepare.
Fine,
Like
so let's make it sleek. So
that's what we want to do.
what I'm trying to say, it's not impossible, 100% probability, and I can point you to a few successful examples.
Mhm.
Now, I don't have to convince you that it's possible, because I can point with the finger to something that worked already. But we have to do it to understand how they did it.
Mhm.
So it's not about me convincing you that it works, because it does, right?
Wait,
We just
it
have to
does in some
understand how
cases.
it
I'm
works.
sure there are cases where it doesn't work.
So,
Yeah, I mean, it's not as if you just put anything on Kickstarter
Yes,
and you raise
yes, yes.
100,000.
But so you
But
don't
this
trust.
is a viable solution from the start, because
Mais est-ce que tu as confiance qu'un produit de ce genre-là peut réussir sur une campagne de financement?
Oui, je pense que, unfortunately, I think financing campaigns, from what I've seen, work a lot based on the
Design, right? The
on,
marketing.
on the kind of appearance you give to the project, the slickness of the video, the pretty smiles, the kind of, it seems to work as much as the real content of the proposal. So
But is this something that you think it's worth doing here?
I think so. If we can kind of quickly, narrow it down enough that we can kind of move forward. But I have the feeling that because there are so many possibilities, it's kind of a bit.
I mean, I
Makes a
think
bit
I don't have
Yeah.
that feeling.
I think it's important to remind ourselves that we haven't met in a few weeks, and there was a lot of things to kind of just get our head around what this project means, right?
Mhm.
I mean, there are many possibilities. There are stuff that's on the long term. Right now, what we're trying to figure out, and that's what you say a lot, is just possibility. I mean, I think we brought the meat to the discussion, and that now we can.
But also discussing will only get you so far. I propose that the next time we eat, we get a whiteboard and we draw. And we put ideas down, we do sticky notes, and we do it by making. And that way you go through it, because you can discuss forever, right? And at the end, we'll have a goal, we'll have a feature list or whatever, and we'll come up with a simple product that's viable.
Yeah,
we
there
can
needs to be
type
a
it
design
out,
for how to meet, right?
And exactly, and just
There needs
really
to be a
tighten it
sense of
up.
convergence, I think. But I'm someone who's
I think
willing
there
to
is a
be
sense of
promoted.
convergence because we have that thing on the window. That thing is convergence. It's material.
Okay, but then
There's a lot of people that converge on this.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. But I thought we were reopening the discussion a bit here. I mean, I thought also that because initially we had sort of orchids, and then the orchids were not as easy as we thought, and I therefore I'm not sure what we replaced the orchids with, or whether we kept the orchids, or what, or is this just a generic flower
I
plant?
think the orchids was just we're talking about flowers, we're talking about some herbs, we're talking about tomato, cucumber, kind of the basic, the top five.
Well, okay, that's where the discussion starts opening up again.
Mhm.
Because initially I thought it was a very nice idea with the orchid. I think there's a big market for orchids, which Abraham had talked about. In fact, lots of people buy orchids. They pay quite a lot for their orchids, so they pay a premium to keep their orchids alive. So the whole thing was geared around that need, keeping orchids alive, and that I thought that kind of made a nice coherence of this objective. Now that the orchid is not in the picture anymore and becomes just
But it is still in the picture because we were talking. That's why we wanted to open it up.
I really have to go, so I'll let you carry on the conversation. And I'm
cool.
I'm interested
Let's take
in
it.
knowing
Let's take
where you got it, and I certainly don't want to kind of suggest that ideas, any of the ideas discussed here are not good. I'm just just expressing my personal kind of interest, but I'm willing to help with this if I can, and
And the question is how, right?
Yeah, question is how. So.
Okay, see you
Okay,
soon.
what
See
do
you
you
soon.
Okay. So do we want, if we can converge on something today, we want to converge on, a strategy for the next month and a half to set up a crowdfunding campaign.
Don't we need to know what we're doing though first? I'm still not clear whether it's flowers or herbs, or
Well, that's,
as you were saying, anything.
so let me say this, in an open environment, the problem is to be able to converge.
Yeah.
And I think one of the processes that we need to put in place, that obviously still doesn't work, is to justify why some choice have been made.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't think we have many choices.
But not tonight, but I mean over the.
Oh, yeah.
There are tons of emails that go in between different members of Sensorica every day about this project. So nobody has the ability to go and read all that to understand what was the thought process. The problem is that sometimes some people don't adhere to what precipitates us for action, and which is fine. Which is fine as long as it doesn't sort of disturbs or derails or the whole process. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I'm getting a little bit nervous when Guillaume intervenes, because he has a pattern. Now it's about reputation within an open community. He has a pattern of questioning stuff. You see what I'm saying? Of being very skeptical about stuff. So that's fine of being. I mean, it's well open.
Definitely, yeah. I think it engages a critical conversation, which is
Yes, it's
right?
critical thinking. It's always. I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying it's not. But it has a measure. You know what I'm saying? And I think in order to converge, there is a sort of a measure of interaction. Okay. So yeah, I appreciate the fact that he's very critical, but I don't appreciate sometimes the fact that he's overly critical and sort of blocking some processes. You know what I'm saying? Or at least I could say is cutting the wings of an enthusiastic group that is already engaged in an action. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to say that. This is a pattern that we've been observing. This is not the first time that happens.
Okay, that's interesting. So you were saying?
Yeah.
So what is the design?
Well, because the orchids seem like a niche market. The flowers even seem like not as niche, but still a smaller.
Yeah.
Small. Whereas herbs.
And tomatoes and
Well, tomatoes. The thing is with tomatoes, I love tomatoes. Is the yield. You don't get that much.
For sure. You could have like a little. I was thinking you could have a little in bath comes up.
In the vine system or something.
So that the vine system goes around it,
Yeah.
and the cucumber is the same thing. Right? You have and either you have the light either in this bar as well, or you can have the light on top, which is holding on this bar where the vine is going around, right? And so if we're like thinking, but it's like for me, we can have several designs,
But also with
say explicitize. You can do this with this one. You can do this with this
But
one.
even with tomatoes, once they're ripe, you gotta pick them. So if you make, let's say, you have 40 tomatoes on that vine, you still have to pick them all at the same time.
That's all right. I mean, that's
Which is great, but
that's why you need several, right?
But as a very easy first step, like if you had, I know there's other products that are herbs, but herbs grow, they continue growing. You chop, and they continue growing. It's like one of those like anybody can grow herbs kind of thing, like just it's a first project in terms of scalability and sellability. I think that and in yield.
The herb, yeah.
Just,
Because you guys are the engineers, do you feel like, in the next few weeks you can, build this like something like that, just a prototype of like different
I can do that in a day. That's not a problem. The thing is that in terms of marketing,
I think
it's not. We already have all the hardware. We already have all the software figured out. The pumping, all these things are already figured out. That's not a problem.
Okay, so that's what they've already figured out. That's how we have to retranslate that into the campaign, right?
Right.
It's like this is what we've done already, right?
The problem is just again is that one, there are things online. that doesn't stop me. If somebody else
Yeah.
is doing it, it's fine.
Yeah.
We can do it in a different way. We can do it better, design,
Yeah.
whatever.
But I know there's a lot of herb stuff around, and it probably because of the same reason
Yeah.
why I was thinking.
The thing is that why are we limiting ourselves to just one market? Because here is a system that can truly revolutionize where you can go grow plants. No longer are you limited to corner of the windowsill, right in front of a window, or just over the fridge. You're not limited to those anymore. All of a sudden, you can grow a plant in the middle of your living room, right where you would like a flower to be.
In your bed.
Right next, yeah. It's basically you can have that anywhere. It's a
Okay, so we have to basically think
So
where
why
we
are
would
we-
want to have it, right?
If you have a system that's capable of so much more, why are we still limiting ourselves to the thing that other people are
So you're
already
going to
doing?
position as you can grow anything with this thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So
Okay,
if
that's
you-
that.
That's
opens
okay,
up.
that opens up that wide.
Yeah.
So what I was looking for something that would widen
Yeah,
it.
so
And
that's
the
why
choices were so
the reason we
wide.
started discussing tomatoes, cucumbers, orchids,
Yeah.
these are
yeah.
the leading plants that are grown indoors. These are the most consumer-friendly plants because consumers love these things. And these are the plants that represent a lot of the other ones. Orchids is a special category. The reason I chose that was because it's very popular. It's a high value plant as well.
It is.
It's like $20, $25 for each orchid. And they're very specialized. Like what would normally work for other plants don't generally work for orchid. You can't grow them in soil. They need special temperatures and all these things. For all the other ones, tomatoes kind of mimic the needs for almost any other plant you can think of. Cucumbers. So basically, the basic nutrient, the basic light, all these things, the basic amount of water required over a month, all these things are very similar for, let's say, a cucumber and a tomato. Tomato is about 98% by water, by weight, it's water. Cucumber, almost the same percentage. So these are plants that mimic what other things you can grow. If we can grow these plants successfully, we can grow anything in there. That is why I took these specific plants. It's not that this system will only grow those. It's that these are the limit testers. These are kind of your outliers. If you can somehow figure this system out,
fruits, right?
if these are the maximum, then you can grow all the things that take less resources than these. So that's why I chose those plants.
That's why that farm did tomatoes as well. That was one of the things that they used to experiment was to do tomatoes.
These are most common in high, like in terms of water. Tomatoes are some of the most demanding in terms of the amount of water.
So if you had to deconstruct that product, you would have how many sensors are there in there?
In terms of electronics, I think it's the same thing.
It's the
Just
same-
the kind of minimum, no, but in the video, in the crowdfunding campaign, like we want to have X number of sensors. How many?
people don't know. People don't need to know about those.
Well, yeah, of course. They
Yeah,
want to
yeah.
know how it's innovative.
No, I think what you have to talk about is what you control, because you can have one sensor solution or three sensor solutions for control something.
There's a moisture sensor.
Okay,
There's a pH, which we are not sure about.
Say that again.
pH sensor, which we are not sure about yet.
Okay.
Moisture sensor for sure. There's a light sensor
Mhm.
that detects two different light sensors. One that detects the amount of light, and the other that detects the quality of light.
Okay.
Specific wavelengths, how much of that we're getting. The third one is
Moisture, pH, light,
air humidity,
air humidity.
air temperature. Though, what else is there?
Yeah, they're already written in the document.
Okay.
These are written already. It's not-
Okay. It's not new.
So, what we need is designs. In terms of design, we got sidetracked. Is 4 or 5 design items that you think would look nice. It doesn't have to be super functional. What I was trying to explain was that the core electronics can handle any design you can throw at them, as long as they're within a set parameters. For example, if you tell me that you want to grow plants all along the wall, all the way to the top. I'm going to tell you that's not possible because the water cannot be pumped with the existing system all the way to the top.
Sorry, the water could not be pumped.
All the way to the top of the wall. Like it's, let's say that wall is about what, 15 feet high.
Okay.
We can only pump it to 3 feet high. So that's the physical limitation.
Okay.
There are limitations. The moisture sensor cannot work right now in an aeroponic environment where you're growing purely on air because it's not designed to work there.
Yeah, whatever. So there are some limitations.
So these are the limitations. We put these limitations on the board. We tell people, we tell designers, these are the limitations. Can you come up with something that people would like? What do you think is something that people would like in their houses?
So in other words, you say you can grow tomatoes and cucumbers, you can grow anything. Are we now presently growing, like trying to grow tomatoes? Do we have a prototype or?
No, we don't. We're not growing anything right now. We don't have anything growing right now.
We had for a while.
But,
Two tomatoes.
Oh yeah.
Did it work well?
Well, we didn't have the automatic irrigation system. We had the sensors working around to monitor. But we didn't have a pump. The sensors were there, the thing was there, but we didn't have the pump or the valve. And so I was basically watering them by hand while monitoring the.
And you killed it.
And yeah, and the weekend.
That's why you need this product.
Yeah.
So what is
So anyway, so it's just experimental. Like the system runs. Okay, if we can put it together and the system runs and sends data to the internet, that's done. If you want to know about the readiness of the prototype, it's not just a mock-up on the window. It's actually
we took out all the wires, etc., but all the stuff is lying on the table.
Everything that should go in that pod exists, and the software to run it exists, and it sends data to the internet. That's where we are. Okay, our problem now is packaging for different types of plants. That's our problem.
Okay, so
there is no miracles in this technology. There are no technological risks.
So we need an industrial designer. We need an industrial designer.
Not
Or
necessarily.
an object designer, a 3D designer who can actually.
We need millions of them.
See, we don't need specialist designers to do it.
Yeah.
It would be nice if they have.
Well, somebody who has, not a professional in the service,
Yeah.
somebody who has some schooling or training.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
No, as long as
we need the skill.
if we can find somebody who specializes in it and they're willing to invest some time in this project, sure, great. If not, this is what I was trying to show before it crashed. I'll show you some examples of pots. That mock-up was created using inspiration from someone else's ideas. I took some basic measurements and I was like, okay, they had it as a picture frame for a very tiny part, and I scaled it up for this purpose.
So you're saying you did it yourself and we can do it yourself?
Absolutely. I think the proportions on that are not that bad. It could work for a picture. We could fine tune the parameters after we have funding.
All right. I mean, I'm proposing a design for the tomato, specifically for the tomato plants or for the high reaching plants, right? Did that make sense for you?
Yeah. Like whatever grows on vines.
Yeah, exactly. Just have one particularly for vines.
Okay.
Like a kind of a wall one that you could put in the corner. And in the packaging you can give little these little things that you need. It's grand pente, just like put in the wall.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I think
so that's for like the high reaching plants. Then we could have maybe one that's generic, I guess, just like for that can be for
plant pots.
The plant pot, right? We have a big one and a small one.
Yeah. Like usually they're 5 inch and 2 inches. The plant pot sizes.
Exactly, with small one and a big one. Then you were saying what you were proposing
kind of like
was
a horse stuff. Yeah.
a longer one,
Yeah.
which you drew as well, right? You
Yeah.
drew one, right? Like similar like that. So
This was designed by Barta here, which are interested in designing something.
So that's like kind of the bigger version, right? That's the one that that can take a lot of space in the living room.
Yeah, you can put it under the window or
But it can be like quite large.
Oh, there was something.
And then last one, we can have a hanging one.
Absolutely. No,
Okay,
that's
we have all the designs. We have all the
Well, for
designs.
specific plants, right?
Sorry?
The hanging, what are you gonna put in the hanging?
I don't know.
Don't worry.
whatever.
It's a hanging, that's the concept, it's a hanging.
It's kind of like a light bulb.
And you know, it's, you can't have like,
Strawberries.
sorry,
Yeah, I was thinking
Strawberries. Everybody
strawberries.
loves strawberries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
we have a
think
very
you
short
have to pollinize
season.
them, or you have to pollinize them if you want to make strawberries.
It's, sorry?
You have to pollinate them if you want to make that.
Pollinate.
Pollinate.
Yeah.
No, I think it's true, this is,
I have no idea.
no, I don't know.
I just like.
I don't have a green thumb. So, how does that work?
So basically,
Okay.
that's yeah. If you solve that problem of packaging,
Send me specific
So basically,
pictures.
by packaging, you mean housing, the housing of the
Yes.
actual.
Okay, let's do the pictures.
because we have electronics that
No,
works.
no, pictures,
We have to put it into a
yeah, give me specific sizes.
I mean,
Uh, 20 inches over here, 8 inches over here, give me specific sizes so we can start cutting things
okay,
and building prototypes.
so,
Or
And that's
building
why
mock-ups.
that's why we have this here to make the casings of plastic. Because for Kickstarter, we don't have to make the product. We have to make the product. We have to make not a mock-up, a prototype that looks like the
But
final
usually
product.
with prototypes, they have really nice sketches to go along with what the end result will be too, so that people
Yeah.
can.
Yeah, that's fine. We have Daniel over here, he's an artist with SketchUp, so.
I mean, the end product could be pretty much the same. We're not gonna change the design of it. But what I'm trying to say is the materials that you choose for making a prototype can be very different than the ones that.
It's kind of like how cars are made, you know, they present a concept car, and when it goes into production 4 years later, 90% of the innovative things are already removed from it because they didn't meet the safety requirements. It frustrates
Yeah,
people,
it's
like,
impossible to do what the designers
Yeah.
think, you know, basically.
when in terms of tooling, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
There are some beautiful concept cars, Jaguar
Oh, yeah,
come
yeah.
out with amazing looking cars. 2 years later, I look at the first production run, I'm like, what did they do to this car?
Yeah.
So,
It's often the case because there's a reality that comes.
Yes. like Mazda comes up with a Furai, that was such an amazing looking car.
But basically, we have the components that go inside. Now we have to think of water tank, whatever. So basic components, and from then on we build on top of it. And the shape that it's gonna take after that, you know,
That's very basic, man.
is guided.
It is.
Is guided
It
by
is.
the need.
but that's what we want. That's what, it's really basic stuff to start with.
I mean the basic shape, right?
Yeah, it's just a very basic shape.
Okay,
Just
it's not the
different models.
design. It's not the design. It's
Okay,
the concept, right? What you're
yeah,
showing.
yeah.
I have an idea that just hit me now.
Yeah.
It just hit me because you said that you can grow this anywhere, you grow in your room or whatever.
Yeah.
What if the housing was a kind of an interlocking system? So that you can actually build structures as room dividers and interlock different.
Oh, now we're talking about green walls or something like that?
Exactly. So your housing could stand alone if you just have one, but then if you buy another one, it can
Oh,
connect to
yeah,
it. So there's something that connects the pieces together.
Yeah.
And you could actually create room dividers or as a means of, like a living wall. So that's where the product becomes differentiated because all the other growers are kind of these standalone units, but what if they become a connected system?
Yeah.
So it's not even individual units now, it becomes a system. And that way people want to connect them
For
and then you sell
sure.
more.
Okay.
In terms of electronics,
I like
I think it's a good idea. He had it in one of his concepts, like multi-pots. In terms of electronics, it becomes a little different in design because now the idea is, are you going to have one brain unit?
For different parts,
For different
or are you
parts.
gonna put in?
Okay, so here we
Is there a
go.
thing?
What if, because this is what we're doing with my work right now. What if you could do that individually, but what if
We
you
can,
could,
we
what if
can.
you could put this one in a group?
That's what.
And then you do global settings for that, when you apply and you
That's
push those settings there.
That's exactly the plan with networks.
So that's what I, like you can, I mean,
Yeah.
in terms of not the first phase, but at some point you can create groups of getting into apply settings for this
That's
group or this group.
yeah, that's something I also wanted to talk about in terms of hardware because these are things.
We're doing that with thousands of sites now, with what we're doing for
Yeah, same
the
thing.
building automation and heating and lighting, where our customers want something that you can push to thousands of sites.
Yeah, that's mesh network
It's
where,
very complicated.
yeah,
Software.
we're also figuring that out because we want to have a capability with greenhouses. So I want that capability all the way from the beginning where it's a mesh network of
Yeah.
sensors and then they're each addressable and recognizable. We are discussing that. I was discussing with Diddy yesterday, and John.
And there's actually a new guy that came to Sensorica, and he happened to work exactly on this.
Nice.
He calls it
Network of
tower something. It's a stack of different communication protocols.
oh
devices.
yeah. You told me about it.
Is Zigbee a closed system?
It's
Even though it's used a lot for like,
Yeah.
but the thing is Zigbee is about no. Zigbee is I think it's a closed system, but there's a lot of development around it.
Mm.
It's a closed system as in the people who first created it, they it wasn't openly shared, but people find a lot of uses for it, and you can code it really easily. So it is an open closed in a like it's not completely open, but it's not completely closed either. The thing is that Zigbee is about
and stuff, or?
Zigbee is about 3 years old. There are technologies that have far superseded it. It's popular because there's a lot of
Infrastructure.
if you're looking for just basic transmitter and receiver, there are far cheaper solutions available that have way more capability. They'll have longer ranges and they're way cheaper, like $2 per chip, and they can transmit up to 150 meters in closed spaces. So again, a lot of possibilities about what you want to do.
So we need a guide just on that, just to
Yeah.
figure out how to do it most effective, right?
Yeah, I was
So
discussing.
we don't have that solution yet. That's not on the table. So you see, so
what
that's
was
why
on the
the,
table.
that solution for mesh network of mesh
Yeah.
sensor network,
That's something
which is plug and play. Like here's another pod.
At first it could just be aesthetic, and then as we go on, we could add the sort of technical
Yeah.
capabilities. Because I think that people will be keen to get it not for its network abilities, but for what they can
For
create
sure.
structure.
That's the,
Yeah.
they just want it at the top, right?
Especially like if you look at places like in Montreal where people have that double room. My kids share a double room.
Mhm.
Now I have to
Yeah.
figure out a way to divide it because it's not my apartment. I rent in a way that's not going to destroy it. And I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do that. But like, there's often situations where you want to divide spaces. And,
Yeah.
Even you
in-
say plants would do that.
Yeah, the little housing of the plants would interlock, so you would have.
I don't like a drywall or
The housing
walls.
is, okay.
No,
It would be like a puzzle pieces kind of fitting together with a different,
what are they called? Chinese doors, Chinese dividers. The kind of like foldable walls that you can extend in the middle of them.
Yeah. So, but this would not be. I mean, it's
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
It's just like blocking the living room.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they can use
would
the
you
restaurants.
imagine something like foldable like that?
What I was imagining was something
That would
like
be crazy.
like
that would
something.
be too crazy.
Like, let's say something about this side or about this side. Because I was talking about this with Tibi. The reason I came up with this idea was that, so 20-30 years ago, fireplace was the main gathering place for a house.
Yeah.
People would face the fireplace and sit around in a circle. Now it's the television that's the centerpiece. So when people gather
No, that's our
around-
devices.
yeah,
But
it
yeah.
is, but still, like when you gather around in the living room, it's usually for entertainment, and you're gathered around the television. The bottom space for that is usually empty, because you hang it up at eye level. So what I was thinking about was I saw a very nice concept. It was about this high, and it's the housing has ample space for water, and it's like something that you can push against the wall, and it's about this thick. So the total profile would be about this high around here. It would be about this thick. It would have water right over here, and this is not see-through, this is covered up. Lights over here, just like that, and then this door is open, or you could open the glass door, and inside you have the plants growing. So it's kind of like a display piece. It's like a living piece of furniture. Instead of having random tables or, so you would have like a living piece of furniture.
That's great. It's like anybody being integrated into furniture, if you think about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like if you have wooden edges, if you have carved wooden edges, the top matches the color of your carpet. I don't know what it should match or not match. So there are possibilities for the project.
That's really
Okay, the thing is that there's so many possibilities that figuring out which ones will be the default ones, which ones to start with.
Yeah.
I think
Because even in the crowdfunding campaign, I think you need to focus on one, and if you want to present 4 or 5 others, I think you need to have like a main, right?
But like, remember like the ecology set, the open ecology. Do you know about that? The how's it called?
It's open source ecology.
Open source ecology. They in their video, the guide, there's he calls it the civilization set, right? So it's about like 50 different different technologies that can be used.
Yeah, but they're crowdfunding the project. They're not
But
crowdfunding the project.
I mean, it's just like you're saying it might not be worth the extra work to figure out different designs for the crowdfunding campaign?
No. I'm fine with that. I'm saying that when you deliver the crowdfunding campaign, usually you see the spotlight on one design.
Yes, you do.
Okay.
And
So it needs to
that's
be
why
checked.
when I suggest an interlocking system, you can have it as a unit or as a few or as a bigger.
Yes. You can have
I think
that.
the modular is
Mm-hmm.
something that people would be really a differentiator. You know?
No, I'm just thinking about
I think
presenting different designs, like all these 4s plus this one. You know what I'm saying? Like, presenting, like here's the catalog. I don't know if it's I don't know. Might work. I'm not saying no, but
Is there something
I
strong?
kind of sense a risk in it because I usually see a star product.
no,
It's like one design.
no. Again,
Yeah.
I'm not saying it wouldn't work.
what are we again? What is the differentiative? Again, star product that I agree. Like they have to look nice and you can focus on them. But there is also an idea that we need to sell, and I think which can be a differentiator. That is the ease of use of this thing. My research and market research for a lot of other companies show that, as I discussed, these are the 3 main barriers, and we're specifically eliminating that. So why don't we talk about those instead of saying that these are things you can do? We focus on the ease of use for that. So we focus on saying no longer you have to worry about are you watering it too much.
Yeah, that's part of the marketing, right?
Yeah, you don't have to worry about you're watering it too much. You don't have to worry about if it's getting enough light and you don't have to worry about knowing how to grow a light. You don't need a degree or you don't need to spend 10 years of your life, killing plants before you can start growing them.
I see definitely that part of the discourse in the if there's a video around it, right?
Yeah, if there's a 2-3 minute video, I think that would be a big selling point because up till
I think
now,
we need to make a scenario and see it as a whole, right?
Yeah.
If you talk about individual pieces,
Yeah.
they might look very good when you see
So the
them.
things that need to be defined right now are what this thing is going to look like, and then the storyboard and script for the video. Those seem to be the number one.
in terms of in terms of user interface, I think you nailed it by saying like, okay, we can do like very basic right now. Notifications is the limit right now, and the other thing is download the settings.
If you get a notification, what do you do with it? Like, what if it says you're away?
No, the
Is
thing
it
is,
just visibility, or is it visibility and control
no. Okay, so it's visibility
first, and then
visibility only first.
okay.
Visibility and control right away for professional users. Professional users will be people who want to sell their stuff, like plant settings, like pot design. So it's kind of like a developer model that could, just like Apple or any phones that are coming out, motherboards, processor, any of these things when they come out, there's like a special developer model which developers buy for an extra price because it could include special features that are locked or not available to the users right away. So those are things that users do have, like, I don't want to close them off, but there are things that users won't normally interact with. Like, actually changing the amount of
Stage 1,
moisture.
stage 2, right? There's a stage for the
Yeah,
first
it's
user,
like-
and a stage for
It's
second.
like you can go in your Android and turn on the developer mode, and then you get 20 different options, new options that didn't exist before.
When you say something,
It's not something you'd be interested in because like always like, software things.
Well, I want to increase my battery power.
Yeah. Did you update your Android because
Yeah.
the new one that came out it changed the battery settings?
I want to say something here about the design, and it's also to refer to some thought processes and some understandings of how things work today. Guillaume, I think Guillaume doesn't grasp the importance of that when he says that we should simplify it to the bare bone and sell a closed system that can almost run by itself. I think, but the point that he's missing is the products today. There's a trend in products today where people are not buying products. Okay? People are buying more than that.
Buying experiences.
Yeah.
Well, people buy
Interactivity.
experiences, but also people buy experience in the sense not just me and the product, but also in the sense me, the product, and the community. A community of shared interest. Okay, so products come with communities today, and that's a level of value that is out on top of commodities that couldn't exist before because people would not connect. As soon as the internet came, we had this higher level of value that was created. Okay, so instead of us and the product, okay, like me and the product, now it's a product that basically allows me to interact with other people and share some experience. And the product is just there, yes. Okay, it has some functionalities, okay, but it allows me to do something else than just the product. Okay, so where is it? So the idea here is to have the idea to upload data and share data and be able to share parameters. Okay, is to form a community of people that are passionate about plants. Okay, and are trying to understand how to make them grow in the optimal conditions. These are passionate. It doesn't mean that all the people that buy these things have to buy into that community.
Absolutely.
I mean, some people buy cell phones just to make pictures, just to make phone calls. Okay, but some people buy cell phones to socialize. Okay, to share pictures. You see, you still have the basic users. Like I don't need all this.
So you're kind of looking at also like just to use sort of like my kids are really into games.
Yeah.
I don't like to be on them so much, but sometimes they'll play games where other users create things that they can, so there's a community built around the game. So that's what we're talking about. Like some people will just play it, and some people will actually build it, and then there'll be like this community, and so there's levels of engagement that are built into this product.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
that goes to let's build some knowledge about how to grow plants and exchange among ourselves control parameters. But it can also go into, buy these pod designs.
Yeah.
Okay, or maybe an add-on electronics to it.
And then it's a new system of sharing your growths. Like you have tomatoes, I have cucumbers. I have extra, you have extra. You want cucumbers? Sure, give me 2 tomatoes. I'll give you 2 cucumbers.
So, but here's the thing. So like when Guillaume says, yes, but that's too complex, and to grow a community is too complex, and to put all these features is too complex. My answer to that is that you have no choice. In today's world, you have no choice. Because if you sell a product, okay, your lifetime on the market is going to be maybe a year or 2, okay? Because products today are short-lived, not just because the technology advances, which yes, we are selling a high-tech product, and now if we control 5 parameters, tomorrow you're going to have plants that are going to extract humidity from the air. You don't even have to water them anymore, okay? So what I'm trying to say is that if you sell a dead product,
I don't want to sell a closed product. Yeah, I agree with that.
So then it's just you and the product. In that case, that product gets obsolete within a year, first. And second, the fashion will change, people's attention will shift to something else, and so you're not making a sustainable business, right?
If you grow a community around your product, then, you know, you have people who come up with all sorts of neat
It's
hacks
a living
or-
product and it's a generative
Exactly.
product. That's why I call generative products. It can redesign itself. It has a life. It has an evolution, and it creates life around it. That's super. You know.
So then those are the things.
But you don't have the choice.
So aside from the three things that Abraham was talking about in terms of how easy it is to use all time and the schedule, then we could sort of talk about also the community part of it and how, you know, it's an open system. And that's like a big thing.
Yeah.
And then we could also talk if we go with the idea that how to go being a modular. So there's different things that we can speak to that can say, look, this is our idea and this is how, you know, look how cool it is. Because it is actually pretty cool.
So it's like, so
But it's everywhere. It's not an original. It's everywhere. Your cell phone is something that has a community of developers and a community of users. Okay, you have applications that link you to Facebook, and you can use it to share pictures with your family. You see what I'm saying? So it's a device that helps you to socialize your life. It's a device that has a community of developers around it, developers of apps, developers of, you know what I'm saying? So you do have in your pocket a living object. Like you see,
BlackBerry is
with a
almost there.
social dimension.
I could even see, and this is gonna
Everything is like that
this
around
is gonna
us.
sound kind of maybe silly or whatever, presumptuous, but I can even see in the future if this, you know, following on like the community of a Facebook page where people are uploading recipes and exchanging.
Yeah,
sort of taking
then
it
you start into platforms, right?
exactly.
Into like
Just-
what other functionalities of the platform.
Exactly.
That's a whole like,
Yeah,
mapping,
that
you know,
would happen organically,
yeah,
but like later.
yeah,
but
yeah. People can add that. You know, people can say, okay, we
But it's
want
difficult. It's
mapping.
difficult to be such a community. But my argument, I'm not saying my
Communities
argument is that
organically.
we don't have the choice, and I don't know how, because if you go into a commodity market, okay, you don't survive much. But even you can copy it tomorrow and push that to the market because somebody can make it cheaper in China with not so sustainable materials, with not so low carbon footprint. But hey, it looks the same.
The
Right?
thing is that
It just looks the same, so people buy it half a price from somewhere else. So today it's not sustainable if you don't reach that highest value markup, which is to create a social dimension to your product, which cannot be copied.
Yeah.
You can copy my product, but you can't copy my community. You see what I'm saying? So it's a way for open source developers to maintain. Why is Arduino still surviving when Chinese are selling maybe more than what they sell?
Who is sorry?
Arduino.
Yeah,
You know, it's because they have a community around them and they have a brand name and they have a reputation.
and they have forums and.
Exactly. So the Chinese copy them, but they can't kill them because they can't copy the community. You see? So I think that's the secret of new products today. They have
if you
this
think
social
about
dimension.
it, that BlackBerry is almost dead. They're very close to being dead. They make amazing phone. I love this phone. I absolutely love the technology. Everything is seamless. Everything works well. Thing is that they don't have the app developers. They were late to that party. Nokia was at one time they were shipping about 80-90% of the world.
And they make the best hardware.
Nokia and
Like,
Nokia
hands
is
down.
absolutely amazing. The best hardware ever I've ever used. Nokia in terms of radio signals, like a 10-year-old
Maps,
Nokia.
cameras, everything.
10-year-old Nokia phone would beat today's phone in terms of like reliability for sure. Like it'll beat reception, signal quality, voice quality. It'll beat modern day phones hands down. The thing is that Nokia didn't get into that community thing. They had apps. They never promoted it.
So I definitely feel like there's a, you know, we're talking about the problem, right? The three main problems we're talking about. What people are doing. I'm just kind of trying to form the narrative around the that you're saying earlier, the script.
Yeah.
Would it be a good moment to talk about this?
I think we're not there yet.
Not there?
Talking about the specifics of the script.
Because I feel like I have them already. I have a good part of it actually.
Well, if you have something in your mind before you forget it, just put it down.
Okay.
No. Like talking about how the specific video will take place, that would be great. But I think we're not there in terms of like we still haven't decided what the housing designs are going to look like.
Yeah.
So
I think in the meantime, though, we could look at successful pitches and just keep note of what works, because it's all about, it's not just what you say, it's the timing of how you say it.
Yeah. No, it's also I wanted to show. I wanted to show the fixtures for some of the plant containers.
Do you have them on your computer?
Yeah, I have them here, but this computer keeps on crashing.
It's currently crashed now?
It crashed. The Chrome crashed. No. Okay.
You know, Chrome sometimes crashes, yeah, on this one.
So there's some virus or something.
Chrome has a spyware, I think,
Okay.
malware attached to it. I saw.
But anyway, so that's something. The other one,
Firefox? What are you looking for?
you'll have to go to Evernote and open up some websites. From there, I saved it.
So you use Evernote.
No, Sensorica does. And I think the password is Sensorica.
Yeah, if you go on Evernote.
I'll take one word.
Okay.
And?
Yeah. You have it? Okay, go ahead.
What is this?
One word, Sensorica Box.
Yeah, I think so. The password is Sensorica Box for Sensorica.
No, it's Sensorica, for Sensorica Guest, it's Sensorica Guest in one word, okay.
The password.
Yeah, the password is Sensorica Guest, one word.
Can I turn off the video and use that computer?
No, wait. What? You can't just connect to just like that?
No, I can't connect anymore.
Well, it's a video feed or is actually recording, keeping the
It's keeping the
meeting?
What on the other screen?
yeah.
I don't have the program.
What do you mean?
We have the
Wait, what? Don't close it now. What? Try to find the program. What?
No, I didn't know if it was a video feed or if it was actually recording and keeping the footage.
Yeah, because we have to share. We have to share it with these guys that are working offsite. There's Leon and there's.
So if I'm offset, I can actually see it live too? Is it a feed or is it's only available after it's footage?
No, you can
live,
watch
you
it
can
live too.
Yeah.
If there's people that are showing up in the Hangout, they can. I mean, these that I invited from Sensorica, they can see it. Otherwise, I'm gonna send them the video and because normally John he wakes up around 5 or 6. He's in Australia, and I thought he's gonna join. I didn't see him yet, and I specifically invited him. And I thought Lilian might join.
There's some really interesting things going on in Australia with
We have hydroponic and
well, not urban informatics.
okay.
So it's looking at urban systems and also technology like sensors and stuff like that. And one of the universities, I think, in Brisbane, they have one professor that specializes in food systems
Nice.
and technology.
Cool.
So he's more of an academic.
You saw it, huh?
What's his name? I forgot. I
Okay.
can't remember.
So it's
You can put it down, Daniel.
I think so, yeah.
No, put it down. I think. Oh, yeah.
So we're agreeing on. But you said you wanted to show us some designs.
Yeah, I'm trying to open those up.
And is this question still open? Is it a catalog or a start product? Or do we want? Is a start product this kind of?
I think we should see some
modular-
scenarios. I'm at this moment I'm skeptical about a catalog kind of Kickstarter, but it might be good. I don't know. So let's experiment with it. We can experiment.
Yeah. So we can, okay.
Where you can focus on the catalog, meaning different types of pots.
Mm-hmm.
I think your idea can be.
You have two different designs that interlock. It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
the same repetitive thing.
Yeah, so that's I consider that as being one,
Yeah.
not multiple,
Yes.
because
Yeah. For sure. It's actually
like units that interlock. Yeah.
there's a accumulation. Right?
Yeah, actually, it's a good idea.
Yeah.
It's
All right, so here, these over here, I'll show you a few designs that I found interesting. For example, the pots the pots on the right. So what we can do is just sell what's also a possibility is instead of shipping the whole container, we tell them that these are the requirements and they can just drop their in their existing pots, or because these are large pots, they can put them on the side and kind of use their existing pots just to fit our system in. That shouldn't be an issue.
Okay.
So large pots can also work. But for example, these are some very nice.
That's weird.
Yeah, but
We go. What's this?
uterus
It's
shape.
uterus.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But there's these kind of designs. This is
There you
the
go.
inspiration for that.
Hey, this is our stuff. Hey, they copied us.
Yeah, they copied it. So this is the inspiration for that.
Isn't that nice? I really like the.
This is somebody.
Oh, yeah, I remember this.
This is actually a router.
Okay.
This is a Saudi company that does Saudi Arabian company. It's an actual router that has space for. Yeah. These are growers.
We should have maybe a page to put these on, and not just like as a list of URLs, but maybe like,
Pictures.
yeah, something.
I mean,
Yeah, you can save them up. Wait, go
Yeah,
up.
like a Pinterest or something.
Yeah. So yeah, we can actually.
Like
That's
these.
neat.
So go up a little bit. Okay. So this is here. This one. So this is actually this looks was this Kickstarter? Is it Kickstarter or
Something similar to this was Kickstarter.
okay? So they grow herbs.
Yeah.
They have essentially 2 pots. But what I don't like about this thing is that it's too. I don't like the mix of. There's way to mix high tech with plants.
And that's not it.
That's not
Okay.
no.
Yeah. I saw a really nice video of people in Mexico mixing sensors with threads together. And it was just like mixing, very traditional technology with very new technology. And I think that's what it,
This looks, I don't know, the plastic, yeah, I agree, it's cheap to manufacture. No? I
It
agree.
is, because it has all that flat edge at the top.
Shit, it looks like, I don't know, like, let's see, even this one up here.
Yeah, it doesn't give you the warm feeling. Like, it doesn't give you the home feeling. It looks like it's like surgical.
yeah.
The shiny,
Yeah.
it's not
Like
the
a
right
hospital.
material. It's not the right finish for the plastic. This plastic itself is not. It's not bad material. It's just that it might be the perfect material for this kind of thing. It could be biodegradable, whatever, but as long as it doesn't fit nicely in
Yeah.
an environment, this would look amazing in like a futuristic space age, coffee shop.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know how people can accept these kind of mix. It doesn't.
Well, there's some people who are like ultra modern and,
Yeah.
and, you know.
Yeah, there are. But that's why I like better the idea of 3D printing this, especially that you can 3D print in wood. Because if you 3D print something like that in wood, you have the wood texture and color, but at the same time you can put shapes in it that are really, really out of this world.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you can make it look futuristic and it's really impossible to make when you look at it. Like, how do you do that? Because 3D printing, you can take any form and print it, right? But at the same time, still have that wood thing that goes with the plant. You know what I'm saying?
And can we do that?
So I like, but this is me. I like that concept more than this concept where you have like a white plastic shiny
Yeah.
that looks, that's in your head tells you oil, China, all these bad things that are associated with white plastic. You know what I'm saying? And then you see a plant in it. It's like there's a disconnect somewhere. You know what I'm saying?
No, but at the same time,
This is my feeling.
95% of the consumers don't feel that way.
Yeah.
If that was the case, the consumer world wouldn't have been that messed up.
But you could offer in 2 different materials.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
like here we're talking about proposing designs for the for these plants, right? So it's just like, you know, let's try 3D printing.
No, it's because
If
it would be expensive to do that.
Oh, yeah?
Well, it depends on the design.
No, I don't mean the printing itself would be expensive. I just mean like getting to the printer. Printing, like having the capability to print that in-house would be an expensive activity.
Yeah, because you have to pay for the drawings to be ready, that you have to pay.
No,
I'm
no,
thinking
no.
about the domestic.
Okay, I've been drawing for 8 years, and I've been 3D printing for more than 1 year. So I know how to draw for 3D printing to avoid costs. To avoid
it's the
Oh, that's
Work.
how we draw it, yeah.
yeah,
cool.
no, it's the 3D printing part in wood. I don't know if we can get that commercially, and if we can, how much would that cost? That's
What are we? You know, what again? What are we trying to do? What is it? Is the campaign for? You know, can we? I mean, I see that there could be really interesting synergy between, you know, manufacturing these pots and 3D printers, and that can be part of the
yeah, it could be.
of the marketing. You know?
It could be, but anyways, back to the.
You don't have to do it
the
yourself,
flower
people can do
pots.
it.
I mean, they can just go to their local fab lab, you know. They can go to their local fab lab and say, hey, can you print me this stuff? You know, that's
Yeah, huh?
Yeah, there's lots of them. But this is actually a a cooking pot.
okay.
But this is something that, like, I like the design features of it in terms of
Curves and,
yeah, and they also break it down into like, okay, so these are in terms of light, etc. There's this, but again, there's not enough space for a hardware part. Where do we store the water?
yeah, it's a dry plant.
Yeah, that would be hard. This is the
Oh, there you go. This
Yeah.
is nice. This is your chimney thing, huh?
yeah. This is the one that would be
Yeah, but it's
With a glass door, huh?
yeah. I think it looks really nice.
Yeah. So this is the under the TV thing. Yeah.
And it's pretty. It's not that hard to do either.
That's how it looks like, right?
Yeah,
On the wall.
you could have.
Let's see
it
the
as
parts
a-
it's made of. Look, it's made of 4 parts, right? Including the glass.
Yeah, this is like a wood thing. Then you have the outer shells.
What are the other shells made of? I mean, I can do that for melamine.
Yeah, this is probably also plastic with that finish. It's not a,
But it looks a little better than just that white thing
Yeah.
with the.
I like this design too. It looks nice to me. The pot, like in terms of how it's being done, they use the soil in there. You pick up the plant, put the water in, and then put the plant back in. So it comes with it. That's it.
Okay.
This looks interesting too. This
I don't
is-
like the design is too busy.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying like the
This is a
shape.
failure design.
This what was interesting about this was that this could be made to be
See, so there's the light. This
Yeah.
is the light, the LED light.
so what we could
So
do
even
is-
this one, they supply water, light. You see, so there's a pattern there, but people supply in terms of vibration.
what we could do with these kind of things is that we could have it movable and retractable. So even this could go away. Technically, what we could do is that we could sense when other people are around, and there's no supplemental lighting provided. It's just a plant there. But after, let's say it's 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, you leave the office, it's on your desk. This can rise up, sense that there's nobody there. The thing, kind of like an antenna, it comes out of the plant with light over it, and it gives enough light for the plant to sustain itself. And it retracts when it senses somebody is coming back. So that's it.
Why? Because that light is kind of
Yeah,
grayish.
the wavelength of that light is very red. It'll hurt your eyes.
yes,
Well,
they never
will not
know
hurt
if
your
you're-
eyes.
It won't hurt your eyes, but it's like harsh to look at.
So you're basically saying to the consumer, you will never see that light when it's there.
No, it's kind of they can see the light, but that's the whole point. That The only thing you need to do is enjoy the plant being there. You don't have to worry about if it's getting enough light.
Yeah.
You don't even see the light on top of it.
It's like all the magic is running in the background. The magic of how the plant,
Yeah.
it's always green and nice. You don't have to know how it happens. There's more stuff, you know.
So there's a lot more that I
So-
have to say.
Going forward, what's the plan? Do we meet again and then make some decisions on how to move, like, before the holidays, like what? I know from my end, I wanna upload that product brief and have it be a living document, and also with you guys share that article, that study, that scientific study. But, and then also when I sort of try to contact somebody I know, he wasn't schooled in industrial design, but he can design objects, and he's really into sustainability, and he grows his own food all the time. So I don't know, maybe he could, I'll just tell him about this project and see if he's interested. Because he's totally into the whole community thing too. It's just that I know that he's not a professional industrial designer, so that would, but I don't know how important that would be at this stage.
My opinion is to, if we know, if this consensus is growing and it's getting stronger about what should be done and what kind of product we should bring to Kickstarter, and if we identify the tasks better, okay. For example, we worked on this prototyping tool. Okay, so say if we make it out of plastic, if we want to make some prototypes, we can do it in-house here. We don't have to go somewhere. So we are moving towards having the prototyping tools. I think one of the things is to focus on, narrow, zero in something on some designs, right? Maybe 2 or 3 designs, different designs. And then there is the parallel track of the storytelling and how do you sell it, right? But my way of seeing this is to just open up the process. You know what I'm saying? We can say, why don't we meet a Friday and we invite, designers from UCAM or Concordia and come and have a design session. Sensorica style. If then the design that is the best or whatever, where everybody gets some equity, into the project. For different reasons. First of all, because that is the culture that I kind of like, to co-design. Once you co-design with people, you also generate ambassadors for what you do. They take
There's brand loyalty there.
exactly, and they're kind of they get attached to the project. And also, this project I think needs more members because it's way beyond the critical mass, meaning that it doesn't have enough redundancy to be able to advance at a steady pace. There are weeks where we do some leaps forward, and then there is a week nothing happens because people are busy doing something else, which is fine. But what I'm trying to say by building redundancy is that when people are busy doing something else, which is normal for their lives, there's always someone that can carry the process, right? So this is how open projects operate. In order to ensure a certain level of predictability and determinism, to be able to rely on a certain development path, okay, you need to add redundancy. You need to have more than one individual that can do the task.
How many people are actively involved in
This project? Well, we have a list of names of about,
10 people, no?
no, it's more than that, maybe 15.
No, actively.
Actively,
3 or 4.
very active, yeah, it's like,
John, me, you.
And you log in your time for everything, like for meetings and stuff like that?
you don't have to, I do. I do love my time for everything.
This would be considered as
Yes.
work.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
could.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, so I can show you how to do it. It's not mandatory. I always encourage people to do it.
I'd be lazy about it. I can log in.
Yeah, you can always write it on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
We had a problem in the past when someone didn't. Now it depends on your character, but this person was a little bit not good. Okay, so when he came back, he didn't log stuff, and then he ended up logging more than anyone else.
Oh yeah, he left. He wasn't participating, and well, he worked from afar when he arrived. He put all his hours, you know.
No, he worked here, but he never logged.
Okay.
Never, and yeah, he
So
did a lot of work at home.
and then everything, and it was just like much.
And then when we got the money, because that was for offering the 3D course, when we got the money and we had to split the money, then he came up, oh, okay, I'm gonna log, and he ended up logging more than anybody else. And what happened there was that it just, people got offended, right? And there was no way to go back in the past and say, oh yeah, I remember 3 weeks ago you were doing that, or, so it can generate some bad feelings.
Yeah, I'll log it. Yeah.
I'm sure you're not like that. But
So you're saying
I
that you were saying that it would be nice to
because the guy went overboard, you know what I'm saying? If he had said,
I'm away next Friday.
I'm gonna love you less than anybody else because it's my fault.
Next week's a bad- next
Yeah,
week's a
next
bad-
week's
next
a
week
bad-
is like a
You know what I'm
bad
saying?
week.
But the guy went overboard.
The following week is
if
actually
there was
bad.
money,
Okay, yeah, me too.
I wouldn't do it if money already came in, but like I've tried logging the right amount of time. I wouldn't do it.
You know what John does? John logs
Or
every
it's
2 weeks,
professor.
and then he sends me an email and he says, hey, I logged a bunch of hours that I put in my spreadsheet. Yes, it's great.
Okay.
And then
Yeah.
he says, can you check and tell me if it's okay,
Yeah, no,
And I kind of see the emails and I know how he logs it.
Yeah.
That's right, that's how he does. He does
Okay.
Does we can make it next week?
Yeah, next week's a bad week for me.
A kind of
no, that's okay.
session.
That's okay.
But I think that if we want to do that, then it's like
The design session, right?
Yeah, to do a design session, like because we just need always to bring more skills and like.
It's like a hackathon type of activity where we get together in the big kitchen there and have some, chips, some, make it fun, something with some pizza or something, and then it's coordinated by, just self-organized, right?
We just
I'll bring some bagels and food.
Yeah, there you go. So we can just do that,
and then we can try to figure out the designs or the things that we need.
Okay. While we're not meeting,
Drawing materials.
I do want to I want to set out some tasks that we want to accomplish. What do you want to do over the next week? Like I don't want to do like.
I'm
No, that's fine.
Yeah, he's ready. He's ready.
Yeah. But what about you? Do you have
I would like to get started on that product brief so that we have some sort of project definition so that when people ask us, we're all kind of on the same page and there's a shared understanding of what we're doing. And that can be negotiated, of course, as it is in the open system, so it'll be co-authored. But I think that we need something like that at this point.
So you want to write some design requirements or something like that?
No, I have a template, and I thought I could start filling some stuff in, and people could correct it. Like I can start with things like the market that we're. There's different expert levels of I can't fill in everything because I won't know how to fill in everything.
Okay, so it's like a question.
Yeah, and it's like things like your specific, like what kind of features what the product should be able to do. You're not going to think about the actual design of it, but like what it should be able to do, or
Can we coordinate because we already have documentation on that?
Okay.
So it might inform the process.
Okay. So why don't I just upload it blank, like just with the template, and then we can discuss from there what's been done and what hasn't.
Because we already circulated a questionnaire in the early stages, like where are we going with this? Just to focus a little bit. That was in the early stages where we were just playing with sensors. The first focusing period, and we collected some data.
But this is more of like, these are the
And now it's
decisions that
like,
have been
there we go.
made, more than this is where we want to go with it. This is what has been decided.
Okay.
It's kind of like because you need to know what it is that when you go to Kickstarter, when you go to crowdfunding, you have to kind of be able to kind of talk about the project in a more precise way.
Yeah.
Like the discussion that we had today was, especially earlier, was a bit looser, but we should have, a convergence, as you said, on what what it is that we're going to decide on the parameters and whatever.
look? I've been
It's good to
mapping out.
retranslate that, to like go through these documents and retranslate it in another language.
Yeah, the problem with it's been a part of that has been my fault. Like why we don't have super clear documentation, because I've always been I've been present at almost all the meetings since the beginning,
since I joined in, that I've been there for all the meetings, and I usually like Tiberius sends emails, and I'm like, okay, I'll explain that in more detail. So as a person who's there at all the meetings, and I work on this almost exclusively. Tiberius has other tasks too. So I kind of I think I'm at the right place to document things, at least chart them out. So I've been meaning to do that over the past 2 weeks, and I've had lots of failures with documentation. So I finally came down to mind maps, and I did make some. So
My maps are good.
this might be useful in explaining so where things are going, or what are
You
the.
would print that out and put it up on the wall because
These are kind of big. That's the problem. Like for example, this. If I open this up right now, where's the button for it?
You can save it in HTML.
Then yeah, I can make it interactive. So I kind of charted out every single detail that I could think
how
of.
big is this document if you would expand everything? 40 by 30 inches or more?
It could depend. This
You
is
can
there's
rearrange
one
it
of them.
There's a lot of area there, no?
This is another part. This is the one talking about what areas of commercial interest it would be touching, what markets, and how. This is the electronics part.
The reason why I want to print them out is because I don't print papers and stuff as much as I can because I don't
Yeah,
like to waste paper.
Yeah.
But sometimes now I'm at the point where I'm like, I need to start
Yeah.
printing because I need to. You're not going to get the same oversight of looking at something, no matter how detailed it is, on a screen as you will.
On a
Have
paper.
it, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
he's a big supporter, yeah.
That's why we did this. Have you checked it out?
Is it a live board or something?
It's like it's a way to interact with, engage with the survey
Okay.
community.
You know, my information they came here the other day and she was taking pictures.
Oh
And
yeah,
then she wrote me an email. Can you explain me this?
nice.
Oh, so it's connected to.
No.
But it's just very similar. Like it's like I really like this way of presenting.
Okay, so it's not like a board that's you can see it from your computer.
No. It's
Okay,
just
okay.
paper. It's paper.
Yeah.
So yeah, this you could print. I can send you files in JPEG if you want to.
Or SVG is good.
Sorry.
SVG.
Yeah, like
I don't know if I can convert them to SVGs in this.
Okay.
But I can send you
You have a place to print
interactive ones.
lunch
Well,
size?
there's a place, an architectural place in Old Montreal that's pretty good, and it's not that expensive. You just black and white print it.
Or you could do that in like a smaller, like you can do portrait size as out of a printer, regular printer. You just have to tape them up.
Yeah, but having a big one, I think.
Yeah.
It's good.
But these are not finished though. So what I would like to do is I'm gonna make I can export them as an interactive map, which can run on any computer. So I'll export them as a Java applet. Then you can just open that up in your email, and you can view them and interact with them. You won't be able to edit it, but it will give you a good idea of all the thought process that went behind making those decisions, what the capabilities are, what we are thinking about, and you can, although you won't be able to edit it right there.
Yeah.
It's up to you. You can download the software, which is free play, as a mind mapping software. It's very, very good. It's a bit, there's a bit of a learning curve because it's not as intuitive initially. It's very detailed, but the graphical interface is not that great. The background programming is amazing, but the front end is not that good. So you can edit that in there, or you could just send me an email saying, hey, at this and this node, I think this is the possibility. I do not have, so on the hardware side, I pretty much covered everything that is possible. I think the core electronics part itself
There is
is a
no
small
online
amount.
mind map stuff that is collaborative because this back and forth.
No, there is.
this node,
There
this
is, but they're all paid. That's
That's a huge barrier, you know what I'm saying?
and they're not as intuitive. I'll look at them again, but the ones that are online shareable.
just send them around with your feedback so that
This, for example, is the core electronic part. So this is for example, if you irrigation system, if somebody is interested in just the irrigation system,
they can go over here, and it lists out all the parts, and then you can go even deeper.
Yeah.
What kind of hardware and software are being used, and same thing for. This is the overall view of. So these are all the hardware parts. In terms of hardware, there's electronics that we're going to use. There's the third-party electronics that we open up as community by providing them, like this is the architecture that, like, okay, this is the voltage, this is, the connection sizes, these are the pins. So now it's up to them. They can develop their own sensors. If this becomes a very popular model, then all of a sudden other developers want to get into that market too. So you leave that door open for them. Then there is the design protocols in terms of containers, how high, how wide, how much weight can. So that, and then we have the default designs. So I left the default design open because I don't have any of those.
So that's what you need to find out?
Yeah, in terms of data management, I am useless as software. So
your hardware design.
mine is electrical.
And what's your software?
No, I'm
Electrical is, but like I don't do hardware electronics. For me, it's mostly market. I want to be involved in marketing. I don't want to be involved in just the electronic part.
Well, a lot of these fields are becoming more interdisciplinary anyway, so
Yeah.
you can't have people who are in marketing who don't really understand anything about engineering. It's like a disaster.
Yeah.
Do you want to continue on with that?
Yeah. So what I'm gonna do is make prototypes. I'm gonna make whatever, like 4, 5, 6 different ones, however many I can make, and try to work out the procedures that we can do an in-house prototype of, plastic or acrylic, whatever we can do best. Have at least 1 or 2 working prototypes by like the end of next week. That's my aim. I also want to do more research on networks.
So we can also have some here in the building and have some sort of curriculum and start some.
I want to go
generate
upstairs,
some feedback.
and I'm gonna put that in like a common area because there's a lot of art people upstairs, and be like just as a general
We can send them, we can give them an invitation.
Yeah.
I mean, here that's something that I don't know if just dropping an invitation under the doors or the sticking a foot. I mean, there's posters that are.
Yeah.
Okay.
We actually did go upstairs and talk to a few people, but that was for 3D printing. They were very receptive of the idea. We just have to, pitch the idea properly. There are urban designers over here, so we do want to get them involved too, because then they can talk about it. In their friends.
So we have a product name.
Green Thumb. That's what I've thought of.
I like the Druid.
Druid is for the whole ecosystem. That will have so it's kind of like we can have Druid as a name, but for this as well. But that was my idea. That
I don't like this name.
no, a lot of
I
people,
actually like it. I think I'm the only one.
What is it?
Druid.
because so the idea is that okay, so you have the bigger picture where you have
Druid is the guy like,
farmers,
Druid,
greenhouses, all
Yeah,
these
with
things.
the wise people.
And then each of these products has their own name. So this could be the Green Thumb. This could be project garden manager. This could be something else. This could be something else. But this whole
The
ecosystem
name,
is-
we have like a name that's sort of more abstracted, and then another secondary name which is more descriptive that tells you what it can do. I mean, it would be cool to know because then I could start designing some logos if I knew what the name was.
It's
We need a
open.
nice logo.
Yeah,
I thought of Green Thumb because it sounds like okay, it's exactly what it's doing. It's a Green Thumb because
But the system's name. That's
Yeah.
important, like the one that everybody hates right now, Druid, except for me, and you. But what else or should we brainstorm like?
no, we don't have to explain the whole system to people. We don't have to tell them that hey,
Okay.
this is where we're going. So that can be like Sensorica's Green Revolution project. Like you can name it anything. You don't have to
Okay.
explain that to people. The marketing name for for
That's the name of the
smart parts.
community, right? That's the name of the community.
So there's a different branding, right? So there's product branding, there's community branding, project branding. So at which level and how much can we focus on?
Product branding, what's the product's name?
Yeah,
Data.
yeah.
Okay,
For me, that's my
I don't know, I'm not good at names.
that's my idea. I presented it to people. They didn't say anything, so
I mean,
don't
that's
know.
education. I mean, I like it.
That's called lazy democracy. You
Yeah.
don't say anything,
It's
you just go with it.
I like it better than eCommunity Manager, eCommunity
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Garden
better than
Manager,
those
Garden
names.
Manager.
Well, that's the umbrella. I like that better because as an umbrella name, because it's an e-community. So you're building a community around, which is basically internet media community.
Yeah.
Okay. And around gardening.
Yeah.
You know, e-community garden. So
The name has to be catchy. You can't have like three-word names. Photosync, for example. Okay, photosync. What does it do? Does the name explain what it does? It just says something about photo, which means light or something.
well, sometimes there's something like Neva,
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything.
Google.
We can.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be in English though. It can be in any name, any
Sure.
language.
Swahili is used most recently with like a sixth language for family.
Oh yeah.
Persian is very beautiful.
That's the after what's it called? The safaris. That's a way to connect with Tanzania. Using Swahili for marketing. So
That's Green Thumb is one proposal. There's other names that people want to use.
so you say eCommunity Garden was for the community or for the product? Or for the project?
Was for the umbrella project that
Okay.
would generate all these things, but that was proposed by Jason. That was
Okay.
I like it because there is the word community and garden in there, but I'm not necessarily. It's just,
Well, we still have some time to.
that is the project branding, right? That would be project branding, so that would be a name for the project. Rather than from Central Company. Yeah.
Garden? Hi garden.
Well, I think even bad ideas can lead to good ideas, so like that we can
Yeah.
pass that around.
Yeah.
Sure. I think we should go another round of brainstorming because I always get mixed up when I pronounce the community. I say e-garden manager, e-community. So I mix them up now. Huh?
Is French your main language?
Hmm?
Is French your main language?
E-garden.
It's not my mother tongue.
What's your mother tongue?
Romanian.
Okay, I thought so. My mother tongue is not English either, but
Okay.
I'm very anglicized.
What's your mother tongue?
My mother tongue is Greek, but I speak English better than I speak Greek. It's kind of sad, but a reality. I think if I lived in Greece for 2 years, I'd be okay.
Okay.
Yeah, but when I was there last summer, I actually was surprised in the 3 weeks that I was there how my vocabulary just expanded. All these words I hadn't used in years sort of came back. But I grew up in a very English-speaking environment in Toronto, so.
Did you move here as a child?
No, I was born, but I lived in a multi-generational home. So my
Okay.
grandparents spoke Greek, and my
Yeah.
father worked a lot. He was the only one in the family who spoke English because he went to the school system here. So because of my grandparent, when I went to school, I would just sit there. I didn't know. I was terrified. I didn't know any English. I was
Wow. Okay.
4.5. It's whatever I knew on Sesame Street, like a few words, and that's it. So it was kind of terrifying. But now it's my main language, and
Kind of like my cousins. They are fluent in English now, but when they started to go to school, they didn't know a single word of English because their mom doesn't speak English.